Chapter 3258. Book 1, Chapter 202. A few days later, Zhao Fu hugged Dao Wei and said, "I want to enter the sacred mountain." Dao Wei leaned into Zhao Fu's embrace and said softly, "3 clan heads are required to open the sacred gate to enter the sacred mountain. Also, why are you going there?" Zhao Fu smiled. "Can't I just go and take a look?" Dao Wei said, "I'm afraid that's not possible. If it's not necessary, our patriarch is forbidden from going there." Zhao Fu asked, "What if I insist on going?" Dao Wei thought for a moment. "Then I can only discuss it with the other 2 patriarchs. If they agree, then I have no objections." Zhao Fu nodded. After that, the other 2 patriarchs also came to the hall. Saber Master walked in and stared at Zhao Fu. "Enter the sacred mountain? This is your real purpose, right?" Zhao Fu did not hide anything and said with a smile. "In." Dao Chan pouted coquettishly. "Then what do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Nothing, I just want to go in and have a look." Saber Master rolled his eyes at Zhao Fu and said, "Who would believe you? Our sacred mountain doesn't have much, only our tribe's sacred relic. You wouldn't do this for our tribe's sacred relic, would you?" Interjecting, me reading app is really not bad. It's worth installing. After all, you can read books in a cache and read them offline. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Yes, I did it for it." Gladys Sakata chuckled. "Our race's sacred object is useless to you even if we give it to you. What do you want it for?" The Blade Master also said, "Although it is a sacred object of our clan, we are unable to use it with our abilities. It is useless for you to have it." Zhao Fu smiled. "I know, but I still want to go in and take a look." Blade Master said helplessly, "All right, for the sake of our race's reproduction, I can let you in to take a look. Do you have any objections?" Dao Chan and Dao Wei shook their heads. Blade Master said, "Now that the 3 patriarchs have agreed to open the sacred gate according to the rules, you can come with us now." Zhao Fu followed the 3 to the front of a large mountain. There were all kinds of corals growing on this mountain. It looked very spectacular. Blade Master, Dao Chan, and the other 2 stood in front of the mountain and stretched out a hand. A beam of light shot out from their palms, shooting into the void in front of the mountain. Rays of golden light spread out. A golden door, giving off a powerful aura, slowly appeared from within the golden light. The door was 5 meters tall and 3 meters wide, and there were many corals carved on it. This was the sacred gate that the shark race had spoken of. At this moment, the golden gate slowly opened. Blade Master glanced at Zhao Fu behind him. "Let's go in together." A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face. Everyone entered the golden door of light, and what surprised them was that the space inside was very small, only the size of an ordinary room. There was a coral platform in the middle, and on top of it was an octagonal crystal. This was the octagonal water world that Zhao Fu was looking for. Saber Master looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Now that you're here, what do you think?" Zhao Fu smiled and walked forward, wanting to take the 8 directions water world. Dao Wei hurriedly stopped Zhao Fu and asked, "What are you doing?" "There's a very powerful restriction on it. Do you want to die?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I know." Dao Chan said, "Are you stupid to still want to go? Also, now that we've seen the sacred land, let's go back." Zhao Fu pointed out with a hand, and a wave of blue energy spread out. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the 8 directions water world on the coral platform floated up and gave off a massive wave of blue energy. It spread out like a wave of light, creating a strong wind that caused people's hair and clothes to flutter. Dao Chan and the other 2 looked at this scene in shock and could not understand what had happened. Why had their race's holy item gone through such a big change? Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile. He had just used the 8 directions water world's power to activate the 8 directions water world on the coral platform. Now that the 8 directions water world had broken through the restriction, there was no longer any danger. Zhao Fu went up and placed a hand on the 8 directions water world floating in the air. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the 8 directions water world once again gave off a massive wave of power. Countless rays of intense blue light shined in all directions, covering the entire region. The people from the saber shark race all looked towards the sacred mountain and looked shocked. A world of water gradually appeared around them, and everyone was within this world of water. They could sense the supreme water power, and their bodies and bloodlines were suppressed by this power, making them unable to move at all. Dao Chan and the other two looked at Zhao Fu in shock. By now, Zhao Fu had returned to his original appearance and did not look like someone from the saber shark race at all. He gave off an extraordinary aura that reigned over the heavens and earth. Dao Chan and the other two had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so terrifying, nor had they thought that Zhao Fu was not from their race. Nor had they thought that Zhao Fu could cause their race's holy item to go through such a great change. Just who was this man in front of them? The water world flowed into Zhao Fu's body like flowing water, and a powerful might spread out, causing Dao Chan and the other two to feel a wave of pressure. These powerful ripples continued for a while before slowly calming down. Two more 8 directions water worlds appeared within Zhao Fu's body, causing the water power within Zhao Fu's body to rise to a new height. Saber Master went up and grabbed Zhao Fu's collar as he stared at Zhao Fu and coldly harumphed. "You stinking brat, you've been lying to me this entire time." Dao Wei and Dao Chan looked at Zhao Fu somewhat angrily, wanting an explanation from Zhao Fu. Otherwise, they definitely would not let Zhao Fu off. Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Can you let go of me?" Saber Master coldly said, "No, you need to give us an explanation right now." Zhao Fu looked at Saber Master and asked, "What explanation do you want?" Dao Chan said, "Firstly, just who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "I'm not from here. I only came here after passing through 2 barriers." Dao Wei looked shocked. "You can pass through 2 barriers? How is that possible? Even we can't break through. So how did you break through?" Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and 2 8 directions water worlds appeared in Zhao Fu's hand as he said, "I relied on them to enter this place." Looking at the 2 holy objects, the 3 women looked incredibly shocked. Dao Wei said, "How can there be 2 holy objects?" Zhao Fu smiled as he explained, "These are the 8 directions water worlds, and there are 24 of them in different regions of the water domain. Your clan's holy object is one of them." Saber Master looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Then why can't we use the 8 directions water world, but you can?" Zhao Fu proudly laughed, "Because I'm the 8 directions water world's fated owner." Saber Master and the other 2 women believed this answer because they had seen Zhao Fu fuse into the 8 directions water world as if he was its owner. Dao Wei's face became slightly red as she said, "Since you're not from our Saber Shark clan, can you still reproduce with us?" Chapter 32:59. Book 1, Book 3. Book 3. Zhao Fu looked at the 3 women and said, "I'm afraid that's not possible." Hearing this, the 3 women angrily glared at Zhao Fu. They treated reproduction as the most important thing, but this was indeed a lie. Saber Master coldly said, "Stinking brat, do you believe that I won't kill you right now?" Dao Wei hurriedly said, "Wait, even though we can't give birth to pure-blooded saber sharks, we can have mixed bloods, right?" Zhao Fu awkwardly said, "Yes, we can't give birth to anything." Saber Master grabbed Zhao Fu's collar and said coldly, "Then I'll kill you right now." Dao Wei asked, "What's the reason?" Zhao Fu explained, "Your bloodlines are too low, so you can't give birth to my children. You can't blame me for this. It's your fault." Saber Cicada lightly harumphed. "You mean that your bloodline is very high?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Of course, it already surpasses everything in this world." Saber Cicada said, "Then who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm a heaven-awakened child, the owner of this world." Saber Master asked curiously, "What heaven-awakened child? Owner of this world?" The other 2 women also looked quite confused, not understanding what Zhao Fu was saying. Zhao Fu felt quite awkward. He had forgotten that his clan had been isolated here for countless years and did not know about the outside world. He explained, "Right now, you're just living in a water abyss. This world is called the Heaven Awakened World, and it's much bigger than you think. Saber Master lightly harumphed. I don't care if you're a heaven-awakened child or the owner of this world. What do you think we should do? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Can you let go of me? Hearing this, Saber Master let go of Zhao Fu. Even though she did not know who Zhao Fu was, she knew that there would be severe consequences. Moreover, after interacting with Zhao Fu for the past few days, she could not bear to kill him. Saber Cicada and Dao Wei looked at Zhao Fu, wanting to see how Zhao Fu would deal with this matter. Zhao Fu said, What do you want me to do? I can't reproduce with you. Now that I've obtained the 8-directional water world, I'm leaving. Hearing this, the 3 women glared at Zhao Fu angrily. They could not help but want to attack Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu quickly said with a smile, I'm just joking. I can take you out of this place. Dao Wei looked at Zhao Fu and said, We are more concerned about the reproduction of our race. Knife Cicada pinched Zhao Fu. You're not trying to make us reproduce with other men, are you? I'm not willing. They're not from the Saber Shark clan, and they're not even as good as you. Zhao Fu hugged her and said with a smile, How could I bear to leave you guys? Dao Chan looked at Zhao Fu. What do you think we should do? Zhao Fu said with a smile, In the upper levels of the water abyss, there are still a large number of bladed sharks. Since the water world can turn you into humans, then I can also turn those bladed sharks into your bladed shark clan. This way, you don't have to worry about your clan's reproduction. The 3 women nodded in unison. Knife Cicada asked, What should we do next? Zhao Fu said, You can go back and tell everyone about this. Prepare to leave with me. Saber Master frowned and said, This is our homeland, the place where my clan lives. I don't really want to leave. Dao Wei nodded. I don't want to leave either. Zhao Fu lightly smiled and said, All right then. I'll take you out to see the outside world. How about it? Saber Master smiled and nodded, Sure. After the 3 women left, they told countless people about this matter. Following this, the people from the 3 clans gathered together and looked at Zhao Fu, who had transformed into a human, and they all revealed expressions of shock and infatuation. Zhao Fu's perfect looks and extraordinary temperament were not something that could be compared to the Bladed Shark clan. Even though the Bladed Shark clan's appearance was quite attractive, it was not as attractive as Zhao Fu's true appearance. Dao Lu stood by the side and looked at Zhao Fu. She was Zhao Fu's first woman from the Bladed Shark clan. In just a few days, Zhao Fu had taken control of the entire Bladed Shark clan, and the 3 clan leaders greatly relied on him. This change was too great, and Dao Lu was not used to it. She felt admiration for Zhao Fu's abilities. Zhao Fu looked at Dao Wei and the others and smiled as he said, Are you all ready? Saber Master looked at the others and said, We'll leave with him for now to understand the outside world. You all can stay here and do as you normally would. Dao Mei said in anticipation, Chief, we've never left this place before. Are we going to take a look at the outside world? Dao Ani smiled as she said, I also want to see the outside world. Saber Master smiled as she said, That's a possibility. Just wait at home. The women all smiled. They were quite curious about the outside world, and they were filled with the 7th generation. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Let's go. The 3 women nodded. They turned into rays of light and shot into the sky, coming to the first barrier. Zhao Fu first found the hole that he had fused with and led the women through it. The 3 women stared at Zhao Fu in shock. They had thought that he would have to unleash some sort of great power, but they had never thought that he would be able to pass through so easily without encountering any obstructions. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he asked, What is it? Dao Wei said, How did you pass through the first barrier so easily? In the past, we used our full power, but were unable to break through, and only a few seniors managed to break through. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, It's not difficult for me. It's part of my abilities. Dao Chan smiled as she hugged Zhao Fu's arm and said, All right, we know how powerful you are. We know how powerful you are. I heard that the second barrier will be very dangerous. Is that true? Zhao Fu said, It's true. It's a natural formation formed by water blades. If you don't borrow the power of the water world, basically no one can break through it. It was very difficult for me to pass through it before, but now that I have 2 water worlds, it should be easier. They quickly flew up. Boom! After stepping into the water city, the water immediately gathered, forming massive water blades that gave off shocking power as they slashed towards the group. A powerful force erupted from Zhao Fu's body, and his body emitted a dazzling light. Countless water blades attacked by Zhao Fu all collapsed at this moment, turning into countless streams of water and scattering. When Dao Wei and the other 2 saw this, they revealed shocked expressions. Zhao Fu continued to fly upward with them, and then many water blades continued to slash at him with powerful power, but they still collapsed directly in the face of the blue light. Zhao Fu now had 2 water worlds, and the power he exuded was too strong. In just a while, Zhao Fu and the others broke through the second layer, and above them was the area where the knife sharks lived. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let's continue flying." The 3 women were also nervous and expectant at this time. The 3 of them were the first people in the history of the knife shark clan to leave the bottom of the water. They continued to fly upward together. The error-free chapter of Lord's Weapon Conquers the World will continue to be updated in the mobile game bar. There are no advertisements in the site, so please collect and recommend the mobile game bar. If you like The Lord's Weapon Conquers the World, please collect it. The Lord's Weapon Conquers the Sky is the fastest to update. Chapter 3260. Book 1, Chapter 204. At this moment, a few bladed sharks sensed Zhao Fu's group and quickly charged towards Zhao Fu's group. These bladed sharks were more than 10 meters long, and the aura they emitted was also very powerful. Blade Master and the other 2 were almighty existences. Naturally, they would not be afraid of these saber sharks. Saber Master smiled and said, "Didn't you say that you can turn saber sharks into saber sharks? I want to confirm if it's possible." Dao Chan and Dao Wei looked at Zhao Fu. The reproduction of their race had always been their greatest concern. At this moment, the saber sharks opened their mouths and ferociously bit toward Zhao Fu alone. They did not attack the Saber Master and the others, perhaps sensing that the 3 of them were emitting the aura of the same race. When Zhao Fu saw that the saber sharks were only biting him, he chuckled and stretched out his hand. A few iron chains flew out and bound the blade sharks. The blade sharks struggled with all their might, and their strength was extremely great. 2 water worlds flew out from Zhao Fu's body and floated on both sides of the blade sharks, emitting countless rays of blue light. The blue light shone on the saber sharks, causing them to change. However, the process was rather slow and there was no pattern to it. The water world of the 8 sides could accelerate the evolution of species. The razor shark race had been influenced by the water world of the 8 sides for a long time to become the razor shark race. But now that the environment was different, the power was different, and the time was different, the direction of evolution of these razor sharks might also be different. It might not evolve into the saber shark race, but it might evolve into saber shark dog, saber shark octopus, saber shark seal, or saber shark hippopotamus. Zhao Fu looked at the 3 women and said, "Give me some of your blood." The 3 of them cut open their arms, and blood flowed out from their wounds. Under the control of their powers, the blood turned into 3 blood orbs and flew in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu controlled the blood-red orbs to float in front of his palm, and he pushed them forwards. The blood-red orbs turned into a massive wave of blood energy that entered the blade sharks' bodies. The blade sharks' changes sped up, and their evolution became orderly. The saber sharks kept changing, and finally, they turned into 5 good-looking women with hot bodies. They weren't wearing any clothes, and their appearances and auras were the same as the saber shark race. A few knife sharks turned into human form and looked at their own bodies curiously. They were still chained. Zhao Fu looked at the few women in front of him and could not help but think that the women of the saber shark race all had good figures, but they all looked a little fierce. Seeing this, Saber Master and the other 2 smiled in delight. The problem that had been bothering them had finally been resolved. In the future, they would not have to worry about the reproduction of their race. Nothing could make them so happy. Dao Wei smiled. "That's great. Sword Cicada nodded happily. I've always been worried about this. Sometimes, I can't even eat or sleep well. The previous clan leader told me to solve this problem. Now it's finally been solved. Dao Wei said with a smile. With this ability, our Blade Shark clan will quickly prosper. Blade Master rolled his eyes at Zhao Fu. Why are they all women? Zhao Fu smiled helplessly and said, You can't blame me for this. It's not my fault. If you want a man, I'll just improve a little in the future. Hearing this, Blade Master did not say anything and smiled as she looked at the knife sharks. Before, the knife sharks had not been weak, and now that they had become knife sharks, their intelligence was not low. They could speak the water race's language, and they had not been cut off from the outside world like the knife sharks. A short-haired woman said, What did you do to us? Why have we become like this? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Now that you've become knife sharks, you'll be one of them in the future, and your constitutions and powers will be improved. The women looked at Blade Master and the other two beside Zhao Fu, and thinking about Zhao Fu's current situation, they nodded. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and the chains loosened. Dao Wei took out some clothes for them to wear. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Let's continue flying. Blade Master and the other two smiled and nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu hid his aura and came to the top of the abyss. They encountered many knife sharks, but were not attacked by them. Blade Master and the other two looked around. This was the first time they had left the bottom of the abyss, and everything was new to them. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I've done what I promised you. In the future, I'll build a passage for you. I'll allow you to enter and exit the abyss at any time. And I'll also build a stone platform so that you can transform into knife sharks. Blade Master said, We understand. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Then you can look around. With your strength, there shouldn't be any danger. I'll help you build a passage and platform here. Blade Master said, We'll be going then. Dao Chan smiled and said, Thank you, husband. Dao Wei's face was red as she said, It's been hard on you, husband. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and nodded. The women left together. Zhao Fu returned and used the water world's power to build a passage that connected to the bottom of the abyss. In the future, the knife sharks would be able to come out as they pleased without any restrictions. Transforming knife sharks was an important thing, and Zhao Fu planned to build it at the bottom of the abyss. He first used jade to build a 10-meter wide and 5-meter tall jade platform and carve a magic formation on it. He then stretched out his hands, and a wave of power flowed out from the two water worlds, which gathered at the center of Zhao Fu's palms and formed two blue orbs of light. Zhao Fu sent the two orbs of light into the platform, which gave off a blue light, and a powerful energy spread out. In the future, he would be able to transform knife sharks here, but the process would be quite slow and would not be as fast as Zhao Fu's. As such, Zhao Fu thought about it and built a few more. After dealing with these matters, Blade Master and the others returned to the bottom of the abyss and bought many things. Dao Wei changed into a blue dress and smiled as she said, Husband, do I look good in this dress? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Now that I've done everything, I'll be leaving. Blade Master said, So soon? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I still need to collect qi from the other water worlds. I've only collected 2 of the 24. Dao Wei said, Then you have to come back to see us often. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Sure. Blade Master's face became slightly red as she said, Husband, if you encounter any problems in the future, you can come back to find us. We'll do our best to help you. You're our benefactor. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, All right, I understand. The women reluctantly bid farewell to Zhao Fu. Following this, Zhao Fu left the knife shark water abyss and returned to the waterfish race. Seeing that Zhao Fu had returned, everyone felt quite happy. Yu Fenghua asked, How was it? Did you find the 8 Directions water world? Zhao Fu smiled as he stretched out his hand, and 2 water worlds appeared above Zhao Fu's palm. They gave off a faint blue light. Chapter 3261. Book 1. Chapter 205. Seeing the 2 water worlds of the 8 Directions, everyone smiled in pleasant surprise. Yu Fenghua smiled and said, You are indeed amazing. So many people couldn't find the water world of the 8 directions, but you still found it. Yuchie smiled and said, I told you, he's the owner of the water world of the 8 directions. Yu Shaoling smiled and said curiously, Husband, tell me about your experience in the Blade Shark waters. How was the water world of the 8 directions? Zhao Fu gave a brief explanation. Yu Fenghua listened and said, the condition to enter the bottom of the Blade Shark water's abyss is to have the water world of the 8 directions. Fortunately, you have the water world of the 8 directions. Otherwise, you might not even be able to reach there. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Next, I will need you to continue to help me gather information about the water world of the 8 directions. Yu Fenghua smiled and said, no problem. In the next few days, the Water Fish Tribe and the Yuji Tribe continued to help Zhao Fu gather information. They did gather some information, but it turned out to be useless. Zhao Fu decided to leave the Water Fish Tribe because this was only a small corner of the waters. As one of the 8 major domains, the waters were not small at all. The 24 water worlds of the 8 directions were scattered everywhere. Zhao Fu could not stay in this place to search. After leaving the Water Fish Tribe, Zhao Fu continued to fly towards the center of the waters. 2 days later, Zhao Fu came to a city because he heard that this merchant group was selling information about the water world of the 8 directions, and the price was not low. When he arrived at the merchant group, an attendant brought Zhao Fu to a great hall. There were already over 50 people sitting there. The auras they exuded were very strong. The weakest had reached the spirit realm, and a few of them exuded the aura of the almighty realm. No one dared to sit next to them. When the emptiness realm expert Zhao Fu walked in, everyone looked at him with contempt and disdain. The emptiness realm expert was too weak for them. In the face of these gazes, Zhao Fu's expression did not change. He sat to the side and waited. Soon, another 7 or 8 people came. At this time, an old man with a face full of fish scales walked out and said with a smile, Welcome to our merchant group. A tall man with a ferocious face. Yimeng said, Cut the crap. Tell me the news. The old man smiled awkwardly and said, This information was obtained with great difficulty by our merchant group. I'm sure everyone understands the value of this information, so whoever offers the highest price will be able to obtain this information. Our merchant group will also guarantee that we won't leak this information. Yimeng took out a piece of blue metal with many ripples on it. This is Southern Tomb Immortal Copper. I will use this to exchange for it. Everyone was shocked. South Tomb Celestial Copper could only be found in the South Tomb ruins. That was a celestial level ruin, and only Dao Realm experts could barely enter to explore it. South Tomb Celestial Copper was a great material for making armor, and it was really valuable. Yimeng took out such a precious thing, which made everyone's face gloomy. A middle-aged man in a white robe revealed a coral that was emitting a 7-colored radiance, attracting everyone's attention. A man said in shock, This is a rainbow spirit treasure seed, an extremely rare and precious material in the water region. Rumor has it that it possesses miraculous powers, and today is the first time I've seen it. The middle-aged man said faintly, I will use this to exchange. The value of this rainbow spirit treasure seed was much higher than the South Tomb Immortal Copper. The purple-clothed old man smiled and said, No problem. Yimeng glared at the middle-aged man and threatened, You dare to compete with me? Aren't you afraid of death? The middle-aged man was also a powerful cultivator, so he said calmly, Why wouldn't I dare? Yimeng's face was angry, and he exuded a fierce aura. Everyone felt as if they were in a stormy sea, and a wave of fear swept through their bodies. The middle-aged man frowned slightly. The purple-clothed old man reminded with a cold face, Guest, this is our merchant group. Please behave yourself. A huge magic array appeared on the ground, and an invisible force spread out. The purple-clothed old man said this with full confidence. Next to him was a beautiful woman with long black hair, purple lips, and a beautiful face. She wore a long black dress. She smiled sinisterly and said, Are you sure you want to compete with us, the evil water double demons? Hearing this name, everyone's expressions changed. The evil water double demons were a team of husband and wife. They burned, killed, and plundered everywhere. Their notoriety spread far and wide, and their strength was terrifying. At least 5 powerful cultivators had died in their hands. No one wanted to offend them. This woman's name was Ebai. She was also a famous beauty in the water region. She ranked 16th in the previous generation of the water region. Ebai's eyes stared at the middle-aged man like a poisonous snake. The middle-aged man put away the rainbow spirit treasure seed with an ugly expression and said, "I won't trade." Imeng laughed loudly and retracted his aura. The purple-clothed old man saw that the middle-aged man had given up, so it was not convenient for him to say anything. Moreover, he did not want to offend these 2 people. Ebai smiled confidently. "No one will dare to compete with us. It's better to trade with us. You won't lose out." The purple-clothed old man glanced at everyone present and understood that no one dared to do so. He was about to speak. "Wait." Hearing this voice, everyone looked over and saw a cloaked man. It was the Emptiness Realm cultivator. Everyone was a little shocked. Was this person stupid? Zhao Fu stepped forward and took out a peach. He said, "I'll trade with you with this thing." The peach he took out was the size of a fist. Immortal light flowed around it, and an enchanting fragrance spread out, refreshing everyone. "This is an immortal peach." Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in surprise. Looking at the size of the immortal peach, it felt as if it grew in the immortal world. It did not seem like an immortal peach of this level could grow in the mortal world. The purple-clothed old man was very tempted. He smiled and said, "Sure." Imeng glared at Zhao Fu and shouted, "Brat, you dare to compete with me with your cultivation? Give me the immortal peach now, and maybe I won't kill you." Zhao Fu said calmly, "I'm using it to exchange for information." The purple-clothed old man also said, "Is there anyone else who wants to trade? If not, then the information belongs to this little brother." Imeng looked at Zhao Fu and couldn't help but want to attack Zhao Fu. Ebai glanced at Zhao Fu and sneered. He pulled Imeng and said, "Let's go." Imeng understood what his wife meant. He did not say anything and left together. Zhao Fu stepped forward and handed the immortal peach to the purple-clothed old man. The purple-clothed old man took out a jade slip and handed it to Zhao Fu. He said with a smile, "The information is recorded in it. Little brother, I'm afraid they will harm you. You can escape from our secret passage later." Zhao Fu took the jade slip and said with a smile, "Thank you." Chapter 3262, Volume 1, Chapter 206. Zhao Fu did not want to waste time on the pair. So, after taking the jade slip, Zhao Fu left the city through the secret passage. When he arrived in the wild, Zhao Fu really wanted to read the contents of the jade slip. Suddenly, he sensed something. His body began to turn into nothingness, merging into this world. Soon, 2 figures appeared. It was the pair of evil water demons. These 2 were very powerful. They could find Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not know what method they used. Imeng frowned and looked around. He frowned. "I clearly sensed that this kid was here. Why did he disappear?" Ebai said, "That kid's identity is not ordinary. He can take out an immortal peach. He must have a lot of good things on him. It would be a pity if he ran away." Imeng said coldly, "That kid dared to go against us. I want to tear him apart now." Ebai revealed a sinister smile. "I also want to pull out that brat's tongue, hang it on a hook, and beg for mercy." Imeng said with a smile, "Wife, what should we do now?" Ebai thought about it and said, "Let's look around. Maybe that brat hasn't gone far." Imeng said, "Got it." The 2 quickly disappeared. Zhao Fu waited for a while, but he still did not show up. After confirming that they had gone far away, Zhao Fu's body emerged from the void. "Huh!" A light laugh sounded out as 2 figures suddenly appeared in front of Zhao Fu. Ebai had a trace of a smile on his face as he looked at Zhao Fu. It was her who had laughed. Imeng said with a smile, "Wife, you're cautious. Otherwise, we would have let this kid go." Ebai looked at Zhao Fu and smiled as he said, "We've caught a big fat sheep this time. He actually had a treasure that could escape our higher being's search. This was the reason why he dared to oppose us. It's useless now. Zhao Fu faced the two experts with a faint smile on his face. He still did not look afraid. Yimeng looked at Zhao Fu's expression and said coldly, "Brat, you are about to die tragically. How can you still smile?" Zhao Fu chuckled. "I didn't want to do anything to you, but since you came looking for me, don't blame me." Ibai sneered. "Oh, you are just an emptiness realm expert. How dare you talk to us like this? Don't you dare beg for mercy when I tear off your face later." Zhao Fu chuckled and suddenly flew to the side. Ichi rushed toward Zhao Fu. He was faster than Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu suddenly changed direction and rushed to the other side. Ibai stood in front of Zhao Fu and laughed mockingly. "You can't escape." When Zhao Fu saw her appear in front of him, he revealed a smile as if his scheme had succeeded. Ibai's expression changed. He felt that something was wrong. At this time, Zhao Fu took out a fiery red seed and threw it at Ibai. Ibai immediately put up a defense. A force blocked in front of him. The fiery red seed turned into countless fiery auras. They quickly passed through the force and poured into Ibai's body. Ibai was shocked. Although he didn't know what had entered his body, it was definitely not something good. Ibai immediately used a power to force the fiery aura out of his body, but the power had disappeared. Ibai sensed his body. There was no poison or anything wrong with his body. He breathed a sigh of relief and asked coldly, "What was that?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Passion flower demon seed." Ibai was puzzled. "What is that?" Yimeng flew over and hit Zhao Fu with his palm. He wanted to seriously injure Zhao Fu. He could not let Zhao Fu escape. Zhao Fu stood his ground without moving. Ibai suddenly made a move and blocked Yimeng's palm. Yimeng looked at Ibai and asked curiously, "Wife, what are you doing?" Ibai frowned and said, "I don't know why, but I have a feeling that I can't hurt him." Yimeng said, "What's the reason?" Ibai looked at Zhao Fu and said coldly, "What is the passion flower demon seed?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Do you want to know?" "I won't tell you." "Ha ha." Yimeng saw how arrogant Zhao Fu was. He could not help but hit Zhao Fu with a powerful force. He wanted to kill Zhao Fu on the spot. Bang! A dull sound was heard. Yimeng's body was sent flying by a powerful force. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Ibai in shock. He did not expect his wife to suddenly attack him. Ibai explained with an ugly expression, "If you attack him, my heart will be in pain. Don't attack him now. Otherwise, I will definitely attack him." Yimeng shouted angrily at Zhao Fu. "Be ****. What did you do to my wife?" Zhao Fu was not afraid at all. He said with a smile, "I already said that you asked for it. You don't have to blame me." Ibai looked at Zhao Fu. "We can spare you and let you leave safely, but you have to give me the antidote." Zhao Fu looked at Ibai and said, "This thing needs to be removed with me. Are you sure?" Hearing this, Yimeng was furious and shouted, "Be ****. Believe it or not, I will chop you into minced meat now." Zhao Fu provoked, "Come and try." Yimeng had never suffered such anger before. He could not help but rush toward Zhao Fu. However, Ibai stood in front of Zhao Fu as if he could not control his body. Yimeng could only stop and stare at Zhao Fu fiercely. Ibai looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Okay, I can promise you." Yimeng said angrily, "Don't agree to it." Ibai said, "Husband, don't be so angry. It's just once. I'm still your wife. If this situation is not removed, I might be controlled by him to kill you." Yimeng looked at Ibai and hesitated. Ibai continued to persuade, "Husband, you have to believe me. I will accompany you well in the future." Yimeng took a deep breath and said, "Okay, only once." Ibai smiled and nodded. He turned his head to look at Zhao Fu. He thought viciously in his heart. When this situation was removed, he would torture Zhao Fu to death. He said coldly, "Let's begin." Zhao Fu stepped forward and picked up Ibai. Yimeng looked at the scene in front of him and felt very uncomfortable. After a while, Yimeng looked at the intimate couple and suppressed his anger. He thought to himself that he would make Zhao Fu beg for death later. After a while, Yimeng looked at his dissolute wife. His heart sank, and his expression became ugly. Ibai's annoying look could no longer be seen. In the end, watching his wife sink, Yimeng felt bitter in his heart. Ibai had never behaved like this in front of him. His most important thing was taken away. Imeng felt very painful, but he had no way to vent it. A few hours later, Imeng watched his wife fall to the ground powerlessly and said to Zhao Fu angrily, "Is it okay now?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Yes, I'm leaving." Chapter 3263, Book 1, Chapter 207. Imeng said angrily, "You still want to leave? Die." Boom! With a roar, Imeng grabbed Zhao Fu with one hand, forming an invisible giant hand. Now Imeng only wanted to kill Zhao Fu at all costs. He could not let Zhao Fu leave. Boom! A huge force hit Imeng's chest, sending Imeng flying. He fell to the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Ibai was the one who attacked. Imeng shouted angrily at Zhao Fu, "Why haven't you lifted the status?" Zhao Fu sneered, "Since you don't keep your word, why should I? Didn't you want to kill me just now?" Ibai looked at himself. Not only did he not lift the status, but it also deepened. It seemed that he liked Zhao Fu, but he did not like his husband Imeng at all. Instead, he felt a sense of disgust. This made his face turn ugly. Ibai turned his head to look at Zhao Fu and said, "We are in the wrong this time. We apologize to you. Please give us a chance." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Why should I believe you?" Ibai said seriously, "I could give you my life. If we dare to attack you again, you can kill me immediately." Zhao Fu smiled disdainfully. "What's in it for me?" Ibai said, "I still have a lot of treasures on me. As long as you are willing to lift my status, I am willing to give them all to you." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'm not interested. Also, you will give me what you have now." Imeng said angrily, "Bastard, what do you want?" Zhao Fu's eyes turned cold. He looked at Imeng and said, "Slap yourself a few times and call me a bastard." Imeng said angrily, "I won't do it." Zhao Fu looked at Ibai and said, "Go and slap him a few times." Ibai did not want to go. However, he had an idea in his heart to slap Imeng, which put Ibai in a difficult position. Zhao Fu's tone turned cold. "Did you hear what I said? Hurry up." Ibai felt that Zhao Fu was angry. The feeling in his heart intensified. He walked in front of Imeng and slapped Imeng's face. Ichong shouted madly, "I'm going to kill you." Imeng exuded a terrifying aura and rushed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was about to drive Imeng crazy. Ibai immediately attacked Imeng. This time, Imeng did not retreat. The two fought together. Waves of powerful fluctuations spread out, and the ground constantly collapsed. Zhao Fu chuckled, put on his clothes, and left the place. Boom! Imeng and Ibai's fists collided with each other. A shock wave spread out fiercely. Imeng's body flew backward, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Ibai stood in place without taking a step back. Originally, the couple's strength was about the same, but Ibai's strength had increased a lot, so he defeated Imeng. Imeng said with an ugly expression, "Wife, how did your strength increase so much?" Ibai looked surprised. He did not expect his strength to increase so much. He immediately understood that it was because of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's ability could determine a woman's bloodline, physique, and strength. The passion flower demon's seed also had such power. Seeing that Zhao Fu had left, Ibai did not have the intention to continue attacking Imeng. Imeng asked, "Wife, have you returned to normal?" Ibai shook his head. Because she still thinks about Zhao Fu and wants to stay by Zhao Fu's side. Imeng said angrily, "What should we do now?" Ibai sighed, "You leave alone. I want to find that bastard now." Imeng said reluctantly, "Wife, I don't want to be separated from you. We promised to be together for the rest of our lives. We will never be separated. If we die, we will die together." Ibai's heart ached. Naturally, she was anxious to fulfill this promise. However, she knew how she felt now. She hated Imeng in front of her. All she wanted was to be with that bastard, Zhao Fu. Even if she died, she wanted to die with Zhao Fu. What did that bastard use? How could it have such a terrifying ability? Ibai explained, "Now we have to separate. If I meet him later, if he wants me to kill you, I will still kill you. With your strength, you are no longer my opponent. This is for your own good." Meng understood the current situation, but he still did not want to be separated from his beloved wife. Bai said, "Why get rid of this state? I will come back to you. Wait for me, okay?" Meng thought about it and nodded. Okay. Bai actually did not have much confidence. It was almost impossible for Zhao Fu to get rid of her state. She just wanted to stay by Zhao Fu's side now. Bai said this to trick Meng to leave. She did not want Meng to die in her hands. Meng looked at Bai and said, "Wife, can we still do that?" Meng thought of the crazy hours between Zhao Fu and his wife. He felt very aggrieved. He wanted to try and see if he could make his wife do that. Bai's face turned red. Thinking of what she did in front of her husband, she could not help but think how good it would be if she could always be with Zhao Fu. That would be her happiest time. Looking at Meng's expression, Bai said, "Wait for me to come back." Now, Bai only hated Meng. How could he be like Meng? Meng was disappointed. He only hoped that Bai could change back. Bai said, "I'm leaving." After saying that, Bai turned into a stream of light and chased in the direction Zhao Fu left. Meng stood in place bitterly. He was also very regretful. If he had known this would happen, he would not have come to trouble Zhao Fu. Now, he got nothing, and his wife even ran away. At this time, Zhao Fu was sitting on a big rock. The power of the passion flower demon seed was amazing. Even an almighty could not resist it. Zhao Fu was very satisfied with it. Unfortunately, he only had 3. Now that he had used one, there were still 2 left. He had to use them less in the future. Zhao Fu took out the jade slip and entered it with his consciousness. He came to a terrain sand table that had shrunk countless times. A place emitted a strong blue light. That should be where the water world was located. Looking at the name, it turned out to be in the South Tomb ruins. Zhao Fu did not expect there to be an introduction of the water world next to it. This water world was brought in by an expert. Later, he accidentally fell into it. After searching for a while, he could not find it, so he recorded the approximate location. The people of that business group might have looked for it, but they did not find it. Hence, they sold this jade slip. However, they did not expect that they could exchange it for an immortal peach. They were also very satisfied with the South Tomb immortal copper that Meng took out. Zhao Fu put away the jade slip and flew to the South Tomb ruins. He heard that this was an immortal ruin. It was very dangerous. Zhao Fu still had to collect relevant information. After a while, Bai quickly caught up. Seeing that Zhao Fu had left, he quickly flew over without thinking. Chapter 3264. Book 1, Chapter 208, translated by Hypersheep 325, edited by Mike here. After flying for a while, Zhao Fu heard a massive sound ahead of him. It seemed that an army had conquered a kingdom, and countless soldiers quickly flooded into the kingdom. Seeing this, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and flew over. Within the palace, a mighty-looking middle-aged man with sharp horns sat on the throne with a gloomy expression. A minister hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, let's hurry and run. The enemy will soon invade." The middle-aged man was the king of this kingdom, and he was called He Yu. He said coldly, "Run? My ancestors' foundation has been destroyed by my hands, and I don't want to live anymore." The minister said, "Your Majesty, as long as you don't die, we still have a chance to restore the kingdom." He Yu gave a long sigh as he said, "It's not too likely to restore the kingdom. You should leave. Don't say any more, or you can stay here with me and wait for death." Hearing this, most of the ministers left, but a small portion of them stayed. The royal palace was in chaos. Palace maids and guards packed their things and ran, and all sorts of things were scattered on the ground. A woman with a graceful figure wearing black clothes entered the royal palace and bowed as she said, "Your Majesty, we've already packed your things. Let's hurry and run." Within the royal palace, a tall and slim woman wearing a blue dress and giving off a noble aura asked, "Where's His Majesty?" The woman in black was called He, and she said, "His Majesty isn't willing to leave and has lost his ambition to restore the kingdom. He doesn't care about the royal family either." Hiluo looked disappointed and nodded as she said, "Let's go then." Hiluo brought He out of the royal palace. At that moment, A mature and beautiful woman holding 2 children and a few female attendants hurriedly said, "Big sister, take us with you." She was also a queen, and she was called Hishu. Hiluo nodded. Following this, a few other queens joined in, forming a group as they quickly ran out of the royal palace. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the royal palace was broken through by the army, and countless soldiers rushed into the royal palace. Hiluo and the others' expressions were quite unsightly as they quickly changed directions and ran. Not long after they ran, a minister led many soldiers and surrounded the queens, and he smiled as he said, "Queens, please stay." A sweet-looking woman called he said angrily, "Hidong, His Majesty treated you well, yet you betrayed His Majesty so quickly and still want to fight against us." The minister laughed as he said, "Now that the Healy Kingdom has perished, I naturally have to choose a new ruler. As such, I can only sacrifice you." River Ant said with a cold face, "Queen, I'll bring some people to stall them. You guys leave quickly." Hiluo said solemnly, "With the few of us, we're no match for them." The River Ants said, "I know, but it's better to escape as many as possible. Otherwise, all of them would be here." Hiluo nodded. The minister laughed and said, "Let's go together and capture them alive." Hearing the order, the soldiers raised their weapons and charged at the crowd. The River Ants had no choice but to face the soldiers head-on. Boom! A powerful sound rang out, sending the soldiers rushing, overflying, and a cloaked man appeared. The minister's expression fell as he cried out, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu looked at him and waved his hand, sending out a massive wave of power that sent the minister flying. The minister crashed to the ground, coughed up a mouthful of blood, and fainted. Hiluo and the others felt quite nervous. Looking at this expert who had suddenly descended, they did not know if he was an enemy or a friend. Hiluo said, "Thank you for your help, sir." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "No need to thank me. I'll be rewarded for my help." Hiluo let out a sigh of relief. This man was most likely not an enemy. As for the reward, she could afford it, so she smiled as she said, "If sir can help us escape, we'll definitely satisfy you." Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile as he said, "Sure, let's go." The group continued to run and soon escaped from the palace. They encountered some enemies, but they were easily killed by Zhao Fu. After escaping from the palace, the group continued to run. The teleportation channels here could no longer be used. It was not just them. Many of the ministers and their families also ran away. Bang! Zhao Fu slapped out with his palm, bringing with it a powerful gale that sent hundreds of enemy soldiers flying. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. A well-endowed and pretty madam called He Jiu hurriedly said, "Queen, please take us with you." Hiluo felt quite hesitant. These people were the families of the ministers, and she wanted to take them with her. However, if there were too many of them, they would be a burden. In the end, Hiluo looked at Zhao Fu. He Jiu understood and hurriedly said to Zhao Fu, "Sir, please spare our lives." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The others also wanted to join. Zhao Fu said, "There's no problem with joining my group, but there's a condition. Don't go back on your word." A tall and skinny middle-aged man hurriedly said, "I'll agree to any condition. I'll even give you my wife." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "All right." Following this, Zhao Fu led the group onwards, continuously killing the incoming enemies, and the group became larger and larger. In the end, Zhao Fu led the 20,000 or so people to a nearby city and used a teleportation channel to quickly leave this place. A few hours later, the group had escaped out of the Healy Kingdom. They were afraid that the enemies would continue to chase after them, so they did not dare to stop and continued to run. Only after running far away and seeing that no one was chasing after them did they stop to rest. Zhao Fu looked at everyone panting and sweating profusely and lightly laughed as he said, "Now that you're all safe, it's time to give me my reward." Hiluo gave a trace of a smile as she said, "Thank you for your help this time. We'll definitely remember your kindness." Hiluo waved her hand and many treasures appeared on the ground, giving off all sorts of treasure lights, and making people feel quite tempted. As the queen, she had good things but bad things. Zhao Fu shook his head. Do you think I'll be interested in your things? Iluo looked quite startled. What do you want, sir? Zhao Fu looked at Iluo and gave a trace of an evil smile as he said, What do you think? Iluo felt quite angry. He blocked in front of Iluo and said with a cold expression, I won't let you act against the queen. Zhao Fu's expression turned cold. So you're going back on your word? A formless aura covered everyone. Everyone understood how powerful Zhao Fu was, and the atmosphere became oppressive. Iluo said with a cold expression, He backed down. He looked at Zhao Fu and retreated to the side. Iluo said, We have no intention of going back on our word. Since you saved us, we should take revenge for you. The tall and skinny man looked at his virtuous and beautiful wife and said, Why aren't you going to serve Lord? The woman was called He Dongli, and she looked at Zhao Fu as she walked over with a cold expression. Chapter 32:65. Book 1, Chapter 2:09. Rescue Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile and said, Hurry up, I want all of them. Hearing this, everyone felt quite surprised. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so greedy and despicable. However, under the threat of Zhao Fu's power, they did not dare to say anything. In the end, the 700 or so women came before Zhao Fu. Because they were people that Zhao Fu had directly saved and had not met along the way, there were so many of them. There were princes and princesses, the wives and daughters of ministers, and some female attendants. Zhao Fu gave a satisfied smile and led the women to the side. A few days later, River Ant said, We've given you your reward, so can you leave now? Zhao Fu looked at the women around him and smiled as he said, You can all leave now. He nestled in Zhao Fu's embrace and said coquettishly, I don't want to go. I want to be by your side. Iluo understood that without Zhao Fu's protection, they would still be in great danger. Looking at Zhao Fu, who was hugging her, she said, I want you to escort us to a safe place, and we'll continue to pay you. What do you think? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Not interested. Iluo's expression was quite unsightly. He just said pitifully, Husband, can you really bear to see us in danger? We'll take good care of you in the future, all right? Zhao Fu hugged Iluo and smiled as he said, What about you? Iluo let out a sigh of relief and smiled as she said, Husband, I'll listen to you as well. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I can provide a safe place, but you'll have to go there yourself. It's not very far, and the power within your bodies will help you deal with some problems. The women sensed the power within their bodies and looked delighted. Iluo Li's face became slightly red as she said, Thank you, husband. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Since you've become my women, I'll take responsibility for you. Wait for me to return. River Ant had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so responsible and felt that Zhao Fu was not so despicable. Boom! A powerful and terrifying aura spread out. Ibai appeared in the sky and looked at the chaotic scene on the ground. For some reason, he felt very sad, and tears kept flowing down his face. Everyone on the ground looked terrified because the person who had appeared in the sky was a higher being, and he was even more powerful than ordinary higher beings. Zhao Fu looked at Ibai in the sky and said, Why are you crying? Ibai would never do something like that. She was naturally affected by the passion flower demonic seed and watched as Zhao Fu hooked up with many women. Although Ibai was crying, he was still very angry. What kind of passion flower magic seed is this be***starred using? How can it have such an ability? I've never cried for a man before. Zhao Fu said with a smile. Come here. Ibai hesitated for a moment before flying into Zhao Fu's arms. Everyone was shocked. Such a powerful almighty expert was actually Zhao Fu's woman, and she was deeply in love with Zhao Fu. Ibai's consciousness was very angry. How can I be so shameless? Why did I take the initiative to jump into this be***starred's arms? However, her consciousness quickly calmed down. A few hours later, Ibai weakly lay in Zhao Fu's arms and said, I want you to stay by my side. Let's not separate, okay? Zhao Fu also understood that Ibai was under the control of the passion flower demonic seed. If it was real, Ibai would have killed him long ago. Zhao Fu did not know how long Ibai would be under the control of the passion flower demonic seed. There was a possibility that Ibai would break free from the passion flower demonic seed's control. If she broke free, Zhao Fu would be in great danger. Zhao Fu needed to diligently obtain the greatest value from her before separating from her. He would need her help to go to the southern tomb ruins. So he said with a smile, "Sure," Ibai said happily. "Okay, husband, we'll be together forever." Ibai's consciousness felt a little disgusted when she heard herself say such disgusting words. She swore to get rid of this state, or it would be worse than death. Everyone packed up. Ibai regained control of his body and was not affected by the passion flower demonic seed for the time being. He glared at Zhao Fu. They returned to the original group. Everyone was nervous and fearful of Bai. They all knew that Ibai was an almighty expert. Zhao Fu looked at the women and felt that they had become different. He Luo asked, "Where do you want us to go, husband?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "You can go to the water fish clan first and tell the clan leader there that I told you to go." He Luo nodded. The tall and thin man walked over with a smile. "Thank you for your help, sir." He Dongli looked at her husband. He had given her to Zhao Fu and was still acting like this. She felt extremely disgusted. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "You're welcome." He Jio smiled and said, "Husband, come back quickly. You have to come back quickly. We'll be waiting for you there." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Okay." After exchanging a few more words, Zhao Fu hugged Ibai and flew into the sky. After Zhao Fu left, he looked in the direction that Zhao Fu left and said, "I wonder who he is. He's so powerful that even almighties are willing to be his women." He Luo said with a smile, "No matter who he is, it's beneficial to us. We don't have to worry about danger when we go to the Waterfish clan. I'm already satisfied with a place to stay." Everyone packed up and walked towards the Waterfish clan. In the sky, Ibai looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Where are we going next?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "The southern tomb ruins." Ibai said in surprise, "Are you going there for that information?" Zhao Fu nodded. Ibai said in surprise, "I've been to the southern tomb ruins many times, but I've never seen it." It even mentioned the omniscient water world. Did the information give an accurate location? Zhao Fu said, "It only gave a rough location. An expert accidentally left the omniscient water world there. This news has not spread, so you naturally don't know." Ibai looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You're just a void realm expert. What do you want the omniscient water world for? It's useless to you." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "It's useless to me, but is it useful to you?" Ibai snorted and said, "Of course. My man and I, no, the man from before, obtained a secret technique called Twin Narcissus. This forbidden technique requires the omniscient water world as a foundation. It can make us immortal-level existences. Unfortunately, the plan was ruined by you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You asked for it, but I do like you quite a bit." Hearing this, Ibai was somewhat happy. He smiled and said, "Then why are you looking for the omniscient water world? I don't believe you have the ability to use it." Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and two omniscient water worlds appeared, emitting a faint blue glow. Ibai looked at the scene in front of him in shock. "How come you already have two omniscient water worlds?" Chapter 3266. Book 1, Chapter 210. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'm collecting the entire omniscient water world." Ibai looked at Zhao Fu and said seriously, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "I'm not telling you." Ibai snorted softly. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Don't you want to become an immortal? I can give you a chance." Ibai asked, "What chance?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'll give you an omniscient water seal later and help you improve your physique and bloodline." Ibai said, "Is the omniscient water seal something that can only be obtained by mastering the omniscient water world?" Zhao Fu nodded with a smile. Ibai smiled. "That's more like it." The two flew for a long time and arrived at a city. Zhao Fu said, "You're more familiar with the southern tomb ruins. Please take me there this time." Ibai nodded and said with a smile, "No problem." Let's go get the jade pendant first. Zhao Fu asked curiously, what jade pendant? Ibai said, do you think you can enter the southern tomb ruins as you please? Zhao Fu asked, do I need the jade pendant to enter? Ibai nodded. The jade pendant is called the southern tomb immortal jade. It's a necessary item to enter the southern tomb ruins. Only 100 pieces fly out of the ruins every year. The total number of jade pendants will not exceed 1,000. Zhao Fu said with a smile, I understand. Ibai did not say anything and led Zhao Fu into a shop. Seeing Ibai walk in, a skinny middle-aged man hurriedly came up and respectfully smiled as he said, Sir, you've come? Ibai looked at the man and asked, how many pieces of southern tomb immortal jade did you collect this time? The middle-aged man's smile was a little stiff. Sir, you just took 2 pieces not long ago. I haven't received any in such a short time. Ibai snorted coldly. Useless thing. The middle-aged man understood how terrifying Ibai was. He was so scared that his face turned pale. Sir, please give me some time to collect. I will definitely collect Southern Tomb Immortal Jade for you. Zhao Fu said, all right, since he doesn't have it here, don't make things difficult for him. Ibai remained silent. The middle-aged man looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. Who was this person in front of him? How could Ibai be so obedient? Yimeng didn't seem to be able to do it before. Where's Yimeng now? Zhao Fu smiled and asked, do you know where I can obtain the South Tomb Immortal Jade? The middle-aged man thought for a moment and said, oh right. There's a mighty figure that has collected several pieces of South Tomb Immortal Jade and said that he wants to form a team to explore the South Tomb ruins. Zhao Fu smiled and said, what's the name of that almighty? The middle-aged man replied, Beauty Water. Ibai frowned and said unhappily, it's her. Zhao Fu turned to look at Ibai and said, what's wrong? What happened between the two of you? Ibai said, there were some conflicts in the past. Zhao Fu smiled and said to the middle-aged man, tell me about Mei Ling Shui. The middle-aged man smiled and said, Mei Ling Shui is actually quite famous in our water domain. You can find out just by asking around. She's from the mermaid clan. She's very powerful and beautiful. She ranked 15th among our water domain's beauties in the previous generation. Zhao Fu smiled and looked at Ibai. She seemed to be ranked 16th. Could there be a conflict between the two of them? He said, let's go find her first. Ibai was a little reluctant, but he still followed Zhao Fu. The two of them came to a wooden building. There were 3 people sitting inside. One of them had wavy blonde hair and a pair of blue gem-like eyes. Her facial features were very delicate, and her skin was as white as snow. She had a mature figure and wore a Western dress. She looked like a princess. She should be Mei Ling Shui. The 2 next to her were also women. One was beautiful and had a graceful figure. She wore a blue dress and was called Shui Bo Ling. The other was not bad-looking, but had a serious face. Her name was Yubai Hua. Mei Ling Shui looked at Ibai and said calmly, why are you here? Ibai snorted and said, I didn't want to come. I heard that you have a few Nanling Immortal Jades. Sell me too. Mei Ling Shui said, no, I still have great use for the Nanling Immortal Jades. I can't sell them to you. Ibai turned his head and said to Zhao Fu, did you hear that? Let's go. Hearing this, Mei Ling Shui and the other 2 looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. Why does it seem like Ibai has to listen to this emptiness realm man? Zhao Fu looked at Mei Ling Shui and said with a smile, we entered the Nanling ruins for a very important matter. Please do us a favor. Mei Ling Shui asked, what are you going in for? Zhao Fu answered, we are looking for something. Mei Ling Shui thought for a moment and said, Ibai is not weak. Why don't you join our team and enter the Nanling ruins together? Zhao Fu smiled and said, sure. Mei Ling Shui looked at Zhao Fu and asked with certainty, can you make the decision? Zhao Fu chuckled and said, of course. She's my woman now. The 3 women were stunned. Mei Ling Shui could not help but ask, Ibai, where is your previous man? Ibai said, what does that have to do with you? Hearing this, she admitted that she was Zhao Fu's woman. They did not know why the 2 were together. Mei Ling Shui smiled and said, since he agreed to join our team, do you have any objections? Ibai glanced at Zhao Fu and said, whatever. Mei Ling Shui smiled and said, "Get ready. We will enter the Nanling ruins immediately." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "We don't have anything to prepare. We can enter the Nanling ruins now." Mei Ling Shui looked at Zhao Fu and reminded him with a smile, "It's very dangerous inside. I advise you to stay here." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I know it's dangerous. Don't worry." Mei Ling Shui could tell that Zhao Fu was not ordinary. She smiled and said, "All right, let's go together." The group flew to an empty area, and Mei Ling Shui took out jade pendants. The jade pendants were cyan, and the words Nanling were written on the front, and a bamboo forest and thatch cottage were carved on the back. Mei Ling Shui threw out the command medallions, which flew into the air and gave off an intense cyan light. Following this, they shot out cyan beams of light that covered Zhao Fu and the others, causing them to disappear. Zhao Fu's body blurred, and he arrived at another scene. It was completely dark, and before he could react, Mei Ling Shui warned, "Be careful." Whoosh! A massive whistling sound rang out as a massive astral wind blew towards Zhao Fu and the others. It was extremely sharp, as if it could cut everything apart. Mei Ling Shui each released a defensive barrier, blocking the astral wind. Ibai released a defensive barrier that enveloped Zhao Fu, blocking the astral wind for Zhao Fu. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for Zhao Fu to resist the astral wind. Zhao Fu hugged Ibai and smiled as he said, "Thank you." Ibai lightly harumphed. Chapter 3267. Book 1, Chapter 211. The group continuously flew forward against the astral winds. A light appeared in front of them, and they flew in and arrived at a boundless bamboo forest. Ibai asked, "What are you doing here?" Mei Ling Shui said, "I received news that there is a 9-ring immortal grass in the depths of the Southern Tomb ruins." Ibai said in surprise, "9-ring immortal grass?" Zhao Fu asked curiously, "What is a 9-ring immortal grass?" Mei Ling Shui smiled and explained, "A 9-ring immortal grass can help us condense a 9-water ring, and it can greatly increase our ability to break through." Zhao Fu nodded in understanding. Mei Ling Shui said, "It will be even more dangerous from now on. Everyone, be careful." Everyone nodded in understanding and continued to fly forward. At that moment, a light breeze blew from the bamboo forest on the ground, sweeping up countless green bamboo leaves and blowing them towards Zhao Fu and the others. Swish, swish, swish. The countless bamboo leaves immediately turned into flying daggers that shot towards Zhao Fu and the others. They were abnormally sharp and cut through their defensive barriers. Fortunately, they did not break through their wind and rain barrier. Everyone continued flying forward. The countless bamboo leaves quickly gathered and transformed, forming a massive qilin that let out a roar that shook the surroundings. Everyone stopped and looked at the qilin formed by the bamboo leaves in front of them seriously. The bamboo leaf qilin quickly arrived in front of everyone and raised its hooves, bringing with it a shocking power as it trampled down towards everyone. Everyone quickly dispersed. The bamboo qilin opened its mouth and bit towards Zhao Fu and Ibai. Ibai coldly snorted and took out a curved saber. With a forceful swing, a massive saber light slashed at the bamboo qilin's mouth, forcing it to retreat a few steps. The others immediately left. Mei Ling Shui took out a magic staff, and countless water droplets gathered together, forming a rope made of water that tied up the bamboo qilin. Damask water ripples took out a halberd and stabbed forcefully. A massive force pierced the bamboo qilin's body, creating a large hole. Yu Bai Hua slashed out with his sword, and a black sword light slashed at the bamboo qilin's head, creating a massive wound. The bamboo leaf qilin furiously struggled and gave off a terrifying aura. Zhao Fu felt like he was just a bystander. He could not help at all. This bamboo leaf qilin would be very difficult to deal with even for ordinary powerhouses. However, now that there were 4 almighties here, things would be much easier to solve. Mei Ling Shui controlled the water rope to bind the bamboo leaf qilin tightly while the others continuously attacked the bamboo leaf Qilin. Boom! In the end, Ibai slashed out a huge saber light with terrifying momentum. The saber light cut the bamboo Qilin in half. Then, the bamboo Qilin turned into countless bamboo leaves and fell to the ground. Everyone continued forward. Not too long after, the ground violently trembled and a 1,000-meter-tall bronze figure that looked like a general stood up. There were some trees growing out of its body, and it gave off an incredibly powerful might. The bronze man looked at Zhao Fu and the rest, his eyes glowing. Boom! Two huge beams of light shot out from the bronze man's eyes. They were extremely fast and shot toward Zhao Fu and the others with the force of a thunderbolt. Bang! The two beams of light hit everyone's defensive barriers and a powerful shockwave spread out. Everyone was sent flying by this power, but fortunately, the defensive barriers had not been broken, so they were not injured. Mei Ling Shui raised her staff and condensed a water rope. She wanted to use the same method as before to bind the bronze man first. The water rope flew towards the bronze man. However, the bronze man took out a massive bronze saber and slashed down. The terrifying saber force cut the water rope in half, causing it to turn into countless splashes. The massive bronze man strode towards everyone as he raised his massive bronze saber and slashed down. Yu Baiwa blocked with his sword. Boom! The saber slashed against the sword, causing a massive force to spread out like a wild gale. Yu Baiwa blocked the saber strike, and a water-rippled damask flew towards the bronze man. The halberd hit one of the bronze man's legs, causing sparks to explode and forcing the bronze man back a step. At that moment, Ibai slashed out a massive saber light that slashed at Ibai's body with immense power. The massive bronze man fell to the ground. The massive bronze man fell to the ground, smashing out a large crater. The ground violently trembled as countless rocks flew into the air. Mei Ling Shui once again released a water rope, binding the copper man's body. The copper man struggled with all his might and found that he could not break free. His eyes shone with light again, and two beams of light shot towards the crowd. Everyone scattered in all directions, dodging the two beams of light. Xing! The water-ripple damask was the first to attack. The halberd brought with it a stream of light as it stabbed into the bronze man's body, opening a hole in its body. Yu Baiwa also slashed at the bronze man's body with his sword, creating a massive wound. The bronze man's eyes suddenly shot out two beams of light that were incredibly fast. They sent the water-ripple damask and Yu Baiwa flying, but they were not injured. Ibai appeared next to the bronze man's arm. He raised the scimitar in his hand and slashed at the bronze man's arm with all his strength, cutting off the bronze man's arm. Even though nothing flowed out of the wound, the bronze man's power was weakened. The bronze man struggled to free one of its arms and swung it at Ibai, bringing with it a powerful gale. Ibai dodged to the side, avoiding the attack. Following this, the water-ripple damask and Yu Baiwa flew over. The two of them cut off the bronze man's arms and legs, greatly reducing its power. Swish! The bronze man looked at Mei Ling Shui, and two beams of light shot out with great power. Mei Ling Shui waved her staff, forming a massive water wall that released a powerful water power. Bang! The two beams of light hit the water wall, and the water wall seemed to absorb the two beams of light. It shone brightly and turned into water vapor that scattered. Ibai seized the opportunity of the bronze man's attack and slashed at the bronze man's throat with terrifying power, cutting off the bronze man's head. The bronze man's body quickly disintegrated, turning into countless pieces. A fist-sized piece of blue metal with many ripples floated out, emitting a faint blue light. This was the Nanling Immortal Copper that appeared before. Yimeng's Nanling Immortal Copper should have been obtained by killing these bronze men. Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, "This thing is useless to me. Whoever wants it can accept it." Ibai glanced at Mei Ling Shui. He did not want what Mei Ling Shui did not want. Yu Baiwa did not say anything. The water-rippled damask said with a smile, "Then I will accept this piece of Nanling Immortal Copper. I will not compete with you for the treasures in the future." Chapter 3268. Book 1, Chapter 212. Mei Ling Shui smiled and said, "Let's continue." Everyone continued flying forward. Countless bamboo leaves once again gathered with the wind, forming two bamboo leaf chelants. After everyone spent some time dealing with them, they arrived in front of a green light screen. This light screen allowed one to choose from three directions. The front led to the depths of the southern tomb ruins, while the left and right led to different places. Erbai looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Which way should we go next?" The lost direction of the omniscient water world was on the left. Zhao Fu said, "Go left." Mei Ling Shui smiled and asked, "What are you looking for? Do you need our help?" Erbai said directly, "No need." He did not want Mei Ling Shui to know about the omniscient water world. The omniscient water world was even rarer than the nine-ring immortal grass. Mei Ling Shui smiled and looked at Erbai. Although Erbai did not say anything, she knew that it was definitely something very precious. Erbai said to Zhao Fu, "Let's go." Zhao Fu nodded and followed. Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, "Then we'll wait for you here." Erbai and Zhao Fu entered the light screen and flew to the left. They arrived at a mountain range. The trees here were tall and lush with vegetation. There were also the roars of wild beasts. It looked very primitive and wild. Erbai asked, "Now that we're in, where's the approximate location of the omniscient water world?" Zhao Fu took out a jade slip and confirmed, "Go southeast." The two of them continued flying southeast. While a group of big birds that looked like ducks with bird-like heads and green feathers spread their wings and flew over to Zhao Fu and Erbai. The auras they emitted were very powerful. Erbai looked at the big birds and said, "Retreat to the back." Zhao Fu obediently retreated to the side. The big bird's strength exceeded his by too much. Fortunately, he had brought Erbai along this time. Otherwise, he would have been in danger with his strength. Erbai flew over with his scimitar. The two sides fought. Erbai waved the scimitar in his hand and slashed out huge saber lights, killing the big birds. Their corpses fell from the sky. The giant birds also attacked Erbai in a frenzy. Some used their bodies to ram him, while others used their beaks to attack him. A large bird opened its mouth and spat out a small cyan light ball. It quickly flew toward Erbai and arrived in front of Erbai. Erbai swung his saber at the green ball of light. Bang! The cyan light ball exploded, and a cyan power spread out. Erbai's body was sent flying, but he was not injured. A large bird swooped down. Its duck feet carried astonishing power as it stomped on Erbai's body. Erbai dodged to the side, avoiding the bird's attack. Another giant bird charged at Erbai with a powerful aura. Erbai swung his saber horizontally. A huge saber light slashed at the big bird's neck. The big bird's neck was cut open, and blood gushed out of the wound. The big bird's body fell from the sky. Bang! A large bird slammed into Erbai's body, sending him flying backward. Erbai punched out. The huge force turned into a huge crocodile that bit the big bird. The big bird let out a painful cry. Erbai then swung his saber and killed it. The four giant birds opened their mouths at Erbai. Four light balls condensed in their mouths and shot out instantly at Erbai. Erbai flew to the side, trying to avoid the four light balls. However, the four light balls quickly turned around and caught up with Erbai. Bang! Bang! A loud sound was heard as the four light balls exploded. Countless cyan lights scattered, and a strong wind blew in all directions. Zhao Fu released an energy shield to block the wind. Boom! Erbai's body suddenly appeared above the four birds. He slashed down with all his might. A huge saber light brought with it a strong gust of wind. It slashed the four birds, and they fell to the ground with one slash. A large cyan bird rushed towards Erbai and opened its mouth, trying to eat Erbai. Erbai first dodged the giant bird's attack, then slashed at the cyan giant bird. Another cyan giant bird flapped its wings, emitting countless cyan lights. A huge force sent Erbai's body flying. The two sides continued fighting. After a while, Erbai killed all the cyan giant birds, but he also suffered some minor injuries. Zhao Fu stepped forward and asked with concern, "Are you all right?" Ibai said, I'm fine. It's just a small injury. Zhao Fu said with a smile, You've really worked hard this time. This is for you. Zhao Fu took out an immortal peach and handed it to Ibai. Ibai said in surprise, You still have immortal peaches? Zhao Fu said with a smile, Yes, I still have some. Ibai did not stand on ceremony, as he took the immortal peach and smiled. In the face of Zhao Fu's concern, he was not affected by the passion flower demonic seed. He also had a good impression of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu asked, Do you want to rest for a while? Let's continue moving forward. Ibai nodded. These few battles had consumed a lot of his strength. Then, he recalled something and reached out to the ground. Cyan beads flew out from the corpses of the giant birds and flew in front of Ibai. Ibai said, These are the demon beast cores. They might be of some help to you. Zhao Fu looked at these beast cores and felt that they might be useful in the future. Therefore, he smiled and accepted them. Then, the two of them flew down. After a short rest, they continued moving forward. They searched the place briefly. Zhao Fu did not find the omniscient water world. Zhao Fu had already expected this. If it were so easy to find, others would have found it long ago. Ibai asked, Do you have any other way? Zhao Fu thought about it and said, Yes, but might cause a huge commotion. I'm afraid that some accidents might happen. Ibai said, Try it first. If something happens, we will leave immediately. Zhao Fu said, Okay. Then, Zhao Fu came to a flat place and pressed one hand on the ground. Two omniscient water worlds appeared. Boom! A loud roar sounded as the two omniscient water worlds emitted a huge force. It spread out like a wave and surged in all directions. Zhao Fu's method was very simple. He used the power of the two omniscient water worlds to trigger the other omniscient water world. The omniscient water world and the omniscient water world could sense each other. The blue wave continued to spread, and the terrifying power caused countless wild beasts to roar loudly. The sound was so loud that it shook the surroundings. If ordinary people were here, they might faint from fright. Mei Ling Shui and the other two, who were outside the light curtain, also heard these loud roars and revealed a surprised expression. Rippling Ripples said, What happened inside? Why is there such a shocking change? Chapter 3269. Book 1, Chapter 213. Yubaiwa said solemnly, It should be them who caused this. Rippling asked, Should we go in and take a look? Mei Ling Shui thought for a moment and said, Let's go in and see what's going on. As soon as the three of them entered the light screen, they were greeted by a huge wave of water energy that was like the waves of the sea. Mei Ling Shui's expression changed. This water power is so strong. It's definitely a supreme level water power. Rippling asked curiously, What did they cause? Why is there such a powerful water power? Mei Ling Shui said, Let's hurry over. The three of them quickly flew towards the source of the waves. Ibai sensed the aura emitted by the roars of countless beasts. His expression turned solemn as he looked around vigilantly. The waves emitted by this place were getting stronger and stronger, and the area affected was also getting bigger. Ibai could not help but say, Is it done? Zhao Fu sensed his surroundings but still did not sense anything. Is the omniscient water world not here? Suddenly, Zhao Fu sensed a trace of a wave. Roar! A loud roar sounded. An incomparably huge, two-headed lion rushed out from the side and pounced at Zhao Fu. Ibai quickly rushed over and blocked the two-headed lion. This interrupted Zhao Fu's senses. Zhao Fu was forced to stop, and the waves slowly dissipated. The two-headed lion attacked Ibai with its claws. Ibai blocked with his scimitar, but he was still forced back a few steps. The two-headed lion waved its other claw, bringing out 5 powerful arcs of light that tore through everything as it attacked Ibai. Ibai hurriedly retreated and dodged the attack. The two-headed lion opened its mouth and ferociously bit Ibai. Ibai slashed the two-headed lion's body, leaving a wound. However, the wound was not deep. The two-headed lion was enraged. It swung its claws and sent Ibai flying. Roar! The two-headed lion then spat out a green flame that quickly burned Ibai, instantly devouring Ibai's body. Ibai emitted a huge aura and pushed the flames away. A huge crocodile appeared and ferociously bit the two-headed lion. The two-headed lion tore the crocodile apart with one claw and slapped at Ibai. Bang! When the claw landed on the ground instantly collapsed. A strong wind blew in all directions, but it did not harm Dao Erbai. Zhao Fu was a little unlucky and was sent flying by this force. The two-headed lion looked at Erbai ferociously. It opened its huge mouth and wanted to continue attacking. Suddenly, a water rope appeared and bound the two-headed lion. Ibai saw that Mei Lingshui and the other two had arrived. The two-headed lion struggled and broke free from the water rope. Yu Baiwa and Water Ripple Silk attacked at the same time, creating a wound on the two-headed lion's body. The two-headed lion's two heads opened their mouths and once again sprayed out two streams of green flames, which surged towards Mei Lingshui and the others. The aura it released was even more terrifying than before. Rippling waters and the other two immediately activated their defensive barriers to block the green flames. Ibai seized this opportunity and slashed the two-headed lion's back with his saber, creating a wound. Blood flowed out continuously. The double-headed lion's hind paw kicked at Ibai. Ibai flew into the sky to dodge the attack, then slashed at the two-headed lion's back. The two-headed lion swung its tail, which carried a force that sent Ibai's body flying. Mei Lingshui raised her staff and countless water droplets gathered, forming two huge water ropes that quickly bound the two-headed lion. Water Rippling Silk and Yu Baiwa hurriedly attacked, creating another wound. The two-headed lion looked at Mei Lingshui angrily and continued to struggle. Mei Lingshui's expression was serious as she continuously injected powerful power into her staff. The staff emitted a blue light, and the power of the two water ropes increased. They bound the two-headed lion tightly, making it impossible for it to break free in a short time. Boom! Ibai swung his saber with all his might, creating a huge wound on the two-headed lion's back. A large amount of blood flowed out, and the two-headed lion roared in pain. Water Rippling Silk's halberd pierced one of the two-headed lion's claws with an intense stream of light. Yu Baiwa also slashed at the two-headed lion, creating a sizable wound. Following this, everyone quickly attacked and killed the two-headed lion. Mei Lingshui stretched out her hand and grabbed. A green bead flew out of the corpse and flew in front of her. She said, "Who wants this beast core?" Ibai said, "I don't want it. You guys can have it." This beast core contained powerful power. The three of them had helped her just now, so Ibai did not want this beast core. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome for her to deal with the two-headed lion. Water Rippling Silk said with a smile, "I don't want it either." Yu Baiwa said, "I want this beast core." Mei Lingshui smiled and handed the beast core to Yu Baiwa. Yu Baiwa took the beast core and put it away. Water Rippling Silk looked at Ibai and asked curiously, "What happened just now? Why were there so many powerful fluctuations?" Ibai said, "Nothing." Mei Lingshui said, "Are you still not willing to tell us? If you have our help, you might be able to obtain that thing more easily." Ibai looked at Zhao Fu. She felt a lot of pressure after causing such a huge fluctuation. Fortunately, only one beast had come. If a few more had come, she would have been in danger. Zhao Fu nodded. With Zhao Fu's permission, Ibai said, "Are we here for the omniscient water world this time?" Hearing this, the three women were shocked. Yu Baiwa asked, "Why is there an omniscient water world here?" Was that water power just now the power of the omniscient water world? Ibai nodded. It was indeed the power of the omniscient water world just now. We received news that there is an omniscient water world here, so we came to look for it. Water Rippling Silk asked, "Did you find it?" Ibai shook his head. Water Rippling Silk asked curiously, "You didn't find it? Why was there such a powerful fluctuation?" Mei Lingshui looked at Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "You should have an omniscient water world on you, right?" Zhao Fu did not hide his smile and said, "Yes, I have too." Mei Ling Shui and the other two looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Having an omniscient water world is very rare. I didn't expect this person in front of me to have two. Zhao Fu continued, I just used two omniscient water worlds to trigger the omniscient water world here. I sensed a trace of fluctuation, so I want your help. Water Rippling Silk said in surprise, you already have two omniscient water worlds. If you get this one, won't you have three? How do you have so many omniscient water worlds? Yu Baiwa looked at Zhao Fu. Also, who are you? Chapter 3270. Book 1, Chapter 214 translated by Hypersheep 325 edited by Mike. Here Zhao Fu said with a smile. It's not convenient to say. As long as you're willing to help me, you'll be rewarded. Saying that, Zhao Fu took out 3 more immortal peaches. Mei Ling Shui and the other two looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. Although they did not know who Zhao Fu was, they were certain that his identity was extremely terrifying. Mei Ling Shui glanced at the two of them. What do you think? Rippling Ripple smiled. I have no objections, I can promise you. Yu Baiwa said, Me neither. Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, All right, we promise to help you find the omniscient water world. Zhao Fu handed over the immortal peaches and said with a smile, Thank you. The 3 of them also had immortal peaches, which were rare treasures for them. Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, What should we do next? Zhao Fu said with a smile, Follow me. I previously sensed a trace of fluctuation in the omniscient water world and can roughly determine its location. The girls nodded. Zhao Fu led the group and flew toward the place. Finally, they arrived at a muddy area. It was very large and had a strong, earthy smell. It was surrounded by yellow grass. The omniscient water world should be in the depths of this muddy area. Erbai said, Is it here? Zhao Fu nodded. Let's go inside and search together. The group flew into the muddy area. But before they could start searching, a terrifying aura emerged from the depths of the muddy area. Everyone's expressions changed, and they immediately stopped. They saw a huge toad jump out of the muddy area. The toad's surface was grayish-black, like a mountain. There were circular membranes on its back, each of which was 2 meters wide. They were densely packed and looked very terrifying. The toad attacked everyone the moment it came out. Its tongue shot out like lightning. Before Rippling Ripples could react, she was sent flying by the huge tongue. Erbai was the first to react and slashed at the tongue. However, the tongue quickly retracted, causing Erbai's attack to miss. Mei Lin Shui raised her staff and countless water droplets gathered, forming 2 huge water ropes that shot towards the toad. The toad leapt into the air and dodged the attack. It then puffed up its mouth and spat out a massive air cannon, which brought with it a massive aura and sent Mei Ling Shui and the others flying. This toad's strength was indeed terrifying. However, no one suffered any serious injuries. Beautiful Lin Shui condensed a massive water spear and shot towards the toad with a terrifying force. At the same time, Ibai rushed toward Toad with his scimitar and water gun. The toad jumped back and dodged the water gun, but Ibai rushed forward and slashed at the toad's body, creating a long wound. Some yellow liquid flowed out of it. The toad's painful tongue shot out like lightning at Ibai. Ibai quickly dodged to the side. He dodged the attack of the tongue. Yu Baiwa seized the opportunity to step forward and slashed out a huge sword light. It slashed at the toad's body and forced it back a few steps. The toad puffed up its mouth again and spat out a huge air cannon, sending Ibai and Yu Baiwa flying. The air cannon was extremely large and could not be dodged at all. Fortunately, it did not cause much damage. At that moment, the toad felt pain in its back. Rippling Ripples had appeared behind it and stabbed its halberd into the toad's body. The toad swung hard and sent Rippling Ripples flying. Suddenly, countless muddy water surged toward the toad and quickly wrapped around its body. Mei Lin Shui appeared on the side, her staff emitting a strong blue light. Ibai and the others quickly attacked. 3 cold lights struck the toad's body, causing 3 wounds. The toad cried out in pain and broke free from the muddy water. Its injured eyes stared fiercely at Mei Lin Shui as it leaped toward her like a cannonball. Mei Lin Shui condensed a huge wall of water in front of her, emitting a shocking aura. Bang! The toad broke through the wall of water and sent Mei Lin Shui flying. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of its mouth. Ibai slashed out with his saber. A huge saber light slashed at the toad from behind. The toad dodged to the side and avoided the saber light. Rippling ripples stabbed at the toad with her halberd. The toad opened its mouth and bit at rippling ripples, as if it wanted to swallow rippling ripples in one bite. Rippling ripples quickly retreated, but it was too late. Rippling ripples was about to be swallowed. Clang, clang, clang. Countless chains shot out of the void and bound the huge toad's body. Zhao Fu attacked from the side, but the chains were all broken when the toad struggled. This was the difference in strength. However, with Zhao Fu's interference, rippling ripples escaped. She looked at Zhao Fu and smiled gratefully. Ibai slashed out with his saber again. A huge saber force slashed at the toad's body with a powerful gust of wind. The toad glared at Ibai angrily. It leaped and slammed into Ibai again, sending Ibai flying. His body trembled, and he spat out a small mouthful of blood. Mei Lin Shui shouted, "Help me hold it back." Ibai and the others understood and attacked the toad again. Mei Lin Shui raised her staff high and poured all of her power into it. The staff shot out a blue light into the sky. The surrounding heaven and earth power quickly gathered, forming a huge blue magic array. A terrifying might spread out. The surrounding beasts sensed this terrifying aura and revealed expressions of fear. They looked at the huge blue magic array in the distance. The toad also sensed danger. It first released an air cannon, forcing Ibai and the others back. It then leaped and ferociously slammed into Mei Lin Shui with a huge aura. It seemed as if it could collapse a mountain. Mei Lin Shui looked at the charging toad with a cold glint in her eyes. The huge blue magic array in the sky slowly rotated. Boom, boom, boom. Massive water spears shot down with great force and stabbed into the toad's body, causing a huge shockwave to spread out. The toad let out a painful roar and hurriedly jumped to the side. The magic array in the sky continuously shot water spears at the toad. The toad continuously leaped and dodged the water spears. Some water spears stabbed into the toad's body, while most of them splashed on the ground. Rippling ripples channeled a massive amount of power into the halberd in her hand and threw it with all her might. The halberd immediately turned into a massive python that bit the toad's body. The toad spat out an air cannon, sending the python flying. It then continued to dodge the water spears. Chapter 3271. Book 1, Chapter 215. The number of water guns shooting out from the sky slowly decreased, and they could not continue to attack as ferociously as before. Yu Baiwa also released a powerful sword force, which turned into a massive swordfish. He stabbed out with his sword, and the massive swordfish shot towards the toad like a beam of light. The toad leaped into the sky and dodged the attack. Ibai appeared in the sky and slashed at the toad's body, causing it to fall to the ground and splash up a lot of mud. Ibai wanted to chase after it and continue attacking. The toad's tongue shot out extremely quickly, causing Ibai to dodge to the side. Yu Baiwa swung his sword, and a massive crescent flew towards the toad. This time, it hit the toad and caused another wound. Silk rippling water took out her halberd and appeared behind the toad. She slammed her halberd into the toad's body, causing its flesh to explode. It felt an intense pain and kicked at silk rippling water with one of its legs. Damask hurriedly dodged. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the toad exploded with terrifying power. The yellow membranes behind it cracked open, and countless yellow mists surged out, turning into massive tadpoles that rushed towards the group. Ibai swung his saber again and again, cutting apart the tadpoles. However, the yellow mists did not disperse, and they continued to condense and attack Ibai. The others were in the same situation. As such, they hurriedly retreated. The yellow mist condensed into even larger tadpoles, and they attacked the group with powerful auras. The group continuously attacked, cutting apart the tadpoles. The tadpoles continuously condensed and continued to attack the group. Mei Lin Shui once again cast a water wall to block the yellow tadpoles. She then continued to send some power into the staff. The magic formation in the sky absorbed a large amount of heaven and earth power and slowly spun again. Boom! Boom! Water spears containing terrifying power shot towards the toad on the ground like a hot knife through butter, and the sounds they gave off shook the surroundings. The toad controlled countless yellow tadpoles, which surged towards the magic formation in the sky like a tide. Bang! 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 The two sides continued to collide with each other, creating loud sounds. The water spears continued to fall, piercing through the yellow tadpoles and turning them into countless yellow mist. The yellow mist continued to surge upwards. The yellow mist gradually rose, and the number of water guns decreased. They were no match for the yellow mist. Roar! Ibai swung his saber with all his might. A massive force surged out, transforming into two giant crocodiles that charged at the toad from two different directions. Two streams of yellow mist surged out of the toad's body and turned into two huge mouths that swallowed the two crocodiles. Yu Baihua's sword floated above his hand, and powerful energy continuously flowed into it, causing it to give off an intense light. A sharp sword wind blew out, and anyone nearby would be cut open. Xiao! The sword transformed into a streak of light as it shot towards the toad, leaving behind a trail of light in the air. Damask rippling water once again throughout her halberd. The halberd turned into a massive python that shot towards the toad at high speed. The sword pierced through the yellow weapon and stabbed into the toad's body, causing it to cry out in pain. Following this, the python bit the toad's body. The toad seemed to go berserk, releasing a terrifying aura as countless streams of yellow mist surged out in all directions. Everyone continued to retreat. Bang! The toad's tongue quickly shot out, piercing through Mei Ling Shui's wall of water and sending her flying. After Mei Ling Shui was sent flying, the blue magic formation in the sky also collapsed. The countless streams of yellow mist turned into many tadpoles that gave off a massive aura as they surged towards the group. Boom! Mei Ling Shui looked furious as she exploded out with terrifying power, and her body gave off countless rays of blue light. The countless streams of yellow mist were actually forced back. Roar! Mei Ling Shui forcefully waved the staff in her hand, and 5 huge water ropes instantly flew towards the toad, binding the toad's body. The toad struggled free and was about to attack Mei Ling Shui. Mei Ling Shui raised her staff and swung down. Boom! A massive pillar of water descended with immense power, pressing down on the toad and making it difficult for it to move. The sound of water was deafening. Countless streams of water spread out, washing the ground. Everyone was somewhat shocked by Mei Ling Shui's power. This was her true power. The 3 of them quickly reacted and continued to attack the toad. The toad also counterattacked. It withdrew countless streams of yellow mist and condensed a semicircle barrier above it to block the water pillar falling from the sky. Clang! Ibai swung his saber, and a massive saber light with intense light slashed at the toad's body, causing a deep wound. Yellow liquid flowed out of the wound. Yu Baihua and Damask rippling water also inflicted 2 wounds. The toad's body leaped to the side, and it opened its mouth to spit out a massive air cannon, sending Ibai and the other 2 flying. Mei Ling Shui coldly looked at the toad and waved the magic staff in her hand. 5 huge water ropes quickly shot out. The toad controlled the yellow mist to form 5 tadpoles, which blocked the 5 water ropes that shot out. Ibai's body gave off a powerful aura as she appeared above the toad's head. She used her true power as she raised her saber and slashed down. Boom! 3 massive saber lights containing power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything slammed into the toad's body, sending the toad flying. The sounds they gave off were incredibly great, making people feel incredibly shocked and weak. The toad fell to the ground, and there were 3 massive wounds on its body that flowed with yellow liquid. Its power had also weakened. Everyone continued to attack the toad. In the end, Yu Bai Hua slashed at the toad's head, cutting off its head and ending its life. After finally killing the toad, everyone let out a sigh of relief. It had been quite difficult to kill the toad this time. If they had come alone, they might have had to risk their lives against the toad to have a chance of winning. Of course, they might have also died at the toad's hands. Mei Ling Shui went forward and took out the toad's beast core. It was a yellow bead the size of a watermelon, and it gave off a ferocious aura. Mei Ling Shui handed the beast core to Ibai and said, "This is for you." Ibai looked at Mei Ling Shui and said, "I don't want it. You contributed the most this time, so you should take it." Mei Ling Shui smiled faintly and accepted the inner core. Damask rippling water looked at Zhao Fu and said, "There should be no danger now. Let's continue looking for the water world in all directions." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Chapter 3272. Book 1, Chapter 216. Everyone flew into the cement ground and released a defensive barrier to isolate themselves from the cement. They continued to sink. After sinking for about a kilometer, they still did not reach the bottom. The depth of the cement ground was somewhat surprising, so everyone continued to sink. An hour later, everyone reached the depths of the cement ground. Apart from the mud, there were many skeletons around them. There were human bones and animal bones. They could not see this place with their eyes, so they could only rely on their senses. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and flew in a certain direction. Erbai and the others followed Zhao Fu. Everyone arrived in front of a giant yellow egg, which should belong to the toad. Zhao Fu sensed that the omniscient water world was below the giant yellow egg. Erbai said, "Is it here?" Zhao Fu nodded and pointed below the giant egg. "The omniscient water world is below." Erbai looked at the giant egg and swung his saber. A saber light cut the giant egg open, and countless yellow mists surged in all directions. Everyone thought that the defensive barrier could withstand it, but they did not expect the yellow mist to fly into the defensive barrier and enter everyone's bodies. Everyone's expressions changed because the yellow mist was highly toxic. Mei Ling Shui quickly said, "Let's leave quickly." Erbai also said to Zhao Fu, "Let's leave first and come back later to take the omniscient water world. This poison is very terrifying." Zhao Fu was not affected at all. His terrifying physique was immune to this poison. He said, "You guys go up first. This poison is useless against me." Hearing this, everyone saw that Zhao Fu did not seem to be poisoned. They did not hesitate and immediately flew up. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and a massive force separated the yellow mist and the mud below, revealing the omniscient water world. He had finally found it. Zhao Fu smiled and flew over to pick up the omniscient water world. When he returned to the ground, Zhao Fu found that the women had ugly expressions on their faces. There were yellow blisters on their bodies. Zhao Fu quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "It's caused by the yellow poisonous gas just now. Although it's not life-threatening, it will ruin our appearances." For women, appearance was the second most important thing after their lives. They could imagine how ugly they would be in the future. This was something they absolutely could not accept. Mei Ling Shui hurriedly asked, "Why are you immune to this poison?" All the girls looked at Zhao Fu. Only Zhao Fu could help them now. Zhao Fu said, "With my physique, this poison has no effect on me." The few women looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Even they, supreme beings, were not immune to this terrifying poison, yet it was useless against Zhao Fu. Just how terrifying was Zhao Fu's physique? Now it seemed that Zhao Fu's identity was even more mysterious. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let me help you detoxify the poison." Ibai hurriedly said, "If you have an antidote, then hurry up." Zhao Fu smiled and walked over, picked up Ibai, and started detoxifying her with a special method. Mei Ling Shui and the other two women blushed when they saw this scene. However, Zhao Fu's method was indeed effective. Ibai's poison was quickly detoxified, and Ibai looked very happy. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Do you need it?" Rippling water looked at Zhao Fu's perfect face, and since she had a good impression of Zhao Fu, She nodded shyly. Zhao Fu walked towards her. Soon, rippling water's poison was also detoxified. Yu Bai Hua said with a slightly red face, "She's done. Hurry up and detoxify me." Zhao Fu carried rippling water and walked toward Yu Bai Hua. Mei Li Shui's face was red, and she glared at Zhao Fu. She felt the poison spreading in her body and took the initiative to join in. The next day, the girls slowly woke up, looking at the messy scene in front of them. Their cheeks were slightly red. Rippling water said to Ibai apologetically, "Sorry, something like this happened with your man." Ibai said nonchalantly, "Don't think that this guy is a good person. He's extremely despicable and has played with countless women." Rippling water felt somewhat disappointed. Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "Are you saying bad things about me?" Ibai saw that Zhao Fu had woken up and said, "I'm not lying. Do you dare say that you're not despicable?" Yu Bai Hua asked, "If he's so despicable, why do you still stay by his side?" Ibai said, "I don't know what he used to make me like him very much. I feel very uncomfortable if I don't stay by his side." Mei Ling Shui sighed. "I didn't expect that I would give my first time to you," Zhao Fu said with a smile. "Isn't it good for you to give it to me?" Mei Ling Shui nodded. "It's indeed not good. I feel that you're too much of a playboy. It's impossible between us." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You weren't like this yesterday." Mei Ling Shui's face turned red. Rippling water said in surprise, "I discovered that my physique and strength have greatly improved." "What's the reason?" Ibai Hua said, "What reason could there be? It's all because of him. This is one of the benefits of being with him. I wonder where he got this ability from to have so many benefits." Rippling water looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Tell us, just who are you?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Can I not say it?" Mei Ling Shui said, "No, I don't want to not know who my man is." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "You acknowledge me?" Mei Ling Shui said with a blush, "Hurry up and say it." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Actually, my identity is quite easy to guess. I'm that heaven-awakened child." The women looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Rippling water smiled and said, "I'm relieved now." Yu Bai Hua said, "It's indeed quite easy to guess. I actually didn't think of it just now. Even though your cultivation is low, as my man, I have no objections." Mei Ling Shui said with a slightly red face, "So you're the heaven-awakened child. Did you collect 24 water worlds to awaken our water race's Emperor Star?" Zhao Fu nodded. Ibai Hua looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I lost to you, so I admit defeat. Can you help me get rid of the passion flower demon seed? I agree to be your woman, but I don't want to be manipulated into liking you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Actually, there's no cure for this passion flower demon seed, and I can't help you get rid of it. However, you might be able to break through on your own in the future." Ibai Hua looked at Zhao Fu and looked somewhat angry. In order to get rid of this state, she and Zhao Fu had done such a thing in front of her man. Now, she found out that Zhao Fu had been lying to her. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Don't be angry. I can make it up to you now. Don't you all want to become celestials? I'll give you a chance. Get up." Mei Ling Shui asked curiously, "What are you going to do?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Just do as I say." Hearing this, the women followed Zhao Fu's instructions and sat cross-legged on the ground with their backs facing Zhao Fu. Lord's Weapon Conquers the World's error-free chapters will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There are no advertisements on the site, so please collect and recommend the mobile game bar. If you like Lord's Weapon Conquers the World, please collect Lord's Weapon Conquers the Heavens. Chapter 3273. Book 1. Chapter 217. 3 octagonal water worlds flew out of Zhao Fu's body and floated around Zhao Fu's body, emitting a blue light. Boom! Zhao Fu pushed his hand forward, and a massive blue power poured into the four women's bodies. A powerful aura spread out. The four women's bodies emitted intense blue light, and their physiques and power rapidly increased. Some black impurities floated out of their bodies, and their surroundings were enveloped by water light. After a while, an octagonal mark began to condense in front of their chests, and the aura they emitted gradually weakened. Zhao Fu retracted his hand and said with a smile, "Now that you have obtained the octagonal water seal and water source body, it will be of great help to you." The four women felt the changes in their bodies and smiled. Rippling Ripples said with a smile, "Thank you, husband." Zhao Fu nodded. "Aren't you still looking for the 9-ring immortal grass? Let's go together." The women nodded happily and returned to the light screen. They chose the middle path and arrived at a massive palace. Mei Ling Shui said, "This is the depths of the southern tomb ruins, and it's even more dangerous than the previous places. Everyone, be careful." The group nodded and walked forward. Not long after, they encountered a group of skeletons. These skeletons wore white clothes and held swords. They charged at Zhao Fu and the others very quickly. Mei Ling Shui looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Stay here and don't move." Zhao Fu nodded obediently. With his current strength, it was difficult for him to be of much help. It would be fine as long as he did not cause any trouble. The women rushed over and fought with the skeletons. Ibai slashed out with his saber, and a massive saber light with astonishing power slashed at the skeletons. The many skeletons were sent flying, and the skeletons all shattered. This was quite surprising, as they had not expected to deal with them so easily. However, the situation changed again. The shattered skeletons reassembled and became skeletons again, and they released the same power as Ibai. Boom! 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 The skeletons swung their swords, slashing out saber lights that slashed at Ibai together. It was as if they could cut through everything. Ibai dodged and blocked at the same time. Ibai was not the only one. The others felt the same way. Yu Baiwa had to deal with the flying sword lights, Shui Ripple Silk had to deal with the piercing cold light, and Mei Lin Shui had to deal with the water spears. All the women were temporarily suppressed. Boom! Ibai rushed into the group of skeletons and slashed with all his might. A huge blade light swallowed all the skeletons, leaving a huge mark on the ground. However, after the saber light dissipated, the shattered bones quickly reformed. Skeletons reappeared and raised their swords. More powerful saber lights slashed at White Eunuch. Boom! A loud noise rang out as Ibai's body was drowned in countless saber flashes. Then, Ibai flew out from within, suffering minor injuries. Mei Ling Shui cast a water wall, blocking the many water guns that were shot at her. Knowing that this couldn't go on, Zhang Xian waved the staff in his hand, and a large amount of water condensed into 2-meter-long ropes that shot toward the skeletons. Facing such an attack, the skeletons swung their swords again and again, sending out sword lights that slashed apart the water ropes, turning them into many splashes. Mei Ling Shui discovered that these skeletons were not afraid of attacks, but they were more wary of binding power. After thinking about it, Mei Ling Shui stuck her water staff into the ground. Countless amounts of water surged out and quickly spread in all directions, covering the area. The skeletons continued to rush toward Mei Ling Shui. However, after a while, their feet seemed to be frozen in the water. The skeletons swung their swords again and again, sending sword lights with sharp sword winds at Mei Ling Shui. Mei Ling Shui did not panic and continued to use the water wall to block the many sword lights. Countless amounts of water surged towards the skeletons that were trapped in place. The skeletons struggled with all their might, but they were unable to break free. Gradually, they were surrounded by a ball of water, and their bodies could not move at all. Boom! A loud sound rang out as Ibai swung his saber again. A huge saber light slashed at the skeletons with a strong wind, slicing all the skeletons in half. This time, the skeletons slowly reformed. They were not as fast as before, and their power was also weakened. These skeletons could not withstand too much damage, and they would not be able to withstand anything more than that. Looking at the skeletons that were still reforming, Ibai slapped out with his palm, causing a massive crocodile to pounce at the skeletons and devour them in a few bites. The halberd in water-rippling silk's hand once again turned into a massive python that devoured the many skeletons. The halberd's power seemed to increase slightly, as it could evolve in this way. In the end, Yu Baiwa unleashed a sword chi whirlpool that sucked in the skeletons and continuously crushed them. Only after a while did Yu Baiwa stop. The skeletons shot out in all directions, and they no longer had the strength to reform. After dealing with this group of skeletons, Mei Lingshui smiled and said, "Let's continue." Zhao Fu asked, "Where's the 9-ring immortal grass you were talking about?" Mei Lingshui smiled and said, "There's still a long way to go." Zhao Fu nodded. The group ventured deeper and continuously encountered skeletons, but they were quickly dealt with by the group. There were still many paths in this palace, and after walking for a while, they went to a small path on the right. In the end, they came in front of a large metal door. This metal door was 10 meters tall and 5 meters wide. It seemed to be made of copper and was red in color. At the center of the door was a carving of a half-snake, half-dragon monster. Mei Lingshui said, "According to the information I received, the 9-ring immortal grass is inside. It's very dangerous inside, so everyone should be prepared." The 3 women nodded and prepared for battle. Mei Lingshui looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You stay outside and don't go in." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "It depends. If it's too dangerous, I won't go in, but if it's not too dangerous, I can help you a bit." Mei Lingshui said, "All right." Following this, Mei Lingshui went up and placed a hand on the center of the metal door. She vigorously pushed, and a massive force spread out as the metal door slowly opened. A monster appeared in front of them. It was the half-snake, half-dragon monster. It had a snake-like body and a dragon-like head, but it did not have any horns. It was crimson red, and it lay there, coldly staring at the people at the door. A terrifying aura flooded out from the door, causing everyone's limbs to feel cold, and the surrounding temperature quickly fell. Chapter 3274. Book 1. 218. The women's expressions became serious. This monster was incredibly powerful, and they all felt a sense of danger. However, this monster's snake eyes did not look at the higher beings and instead fell on Zhao Fu's body, staring at Zhao Fu. The women looked at Zhao Fu strangely. Zhao Fu also looked quite confused, not understanding why this monster was looking at him like this. Mei Lingshui looked at the monster and said, "What do you want?" The monster gave a trace of a smile and spoke in a cold and bewitching woman's voice. "Who is this boy? I've never sensed such a high-grade dragon race bloodline aura before, and he doesn't look like someone from the celestial world." Mei Lingshui and the others also looked quite confused. They did not know much about this. Zhao Fu looked at the monster and said, "I'm the Heaven-Awakened Sun, the future master of the Heaven-Awakened world." The monster continued to laugh as it said, "I'm sure you're not just a Heaven-Awakened Sun, right?" Mei Lingshui asked in confusion, "What do you mean?" The monster explained, "Only half of his bloodline belongs to the Heaven-Awakened world, and the other half belongs to another world, and I can't determine the grade of his bloodline." Hearing this, Mei Lingshui and the others felt as if their minds had been dealt a heavy blow, and they suddenly felt as if a great scheme was brewing. Even higher beings like them felt a wave of terror. How could the master of the Heaven-Awakened world have another bloodline? What's more, how could his bloodline grade be so high? Moreover, was all of this danger caused by the Heaven-Awakened Sun? In this world, only he could do such a thing. Zhao Fu had not told them about this, and what role did they play in this scheme? They trusted Zhao Fu so much, yet Zhao Fu treated them like this, causing them to feel a chill. Facing this chill, even though they were higher beings, they could not help but take a step back as they looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu calmly looked at the monster and said, "How could you tell?" The monster laughed as it said, "I come from a celestial world's heavenly spirit dragon snake. This is one of my abilities." Mei Lingshui looked at Zhao Fu and said coldly, "Just who are you?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "I'm someone from the Heaven-Awakened world. Don't misunderstand." Yu Baiwa asked, "Then why do you have another bloodline? What kind of bloodline is that?" Zhao Fu said calmly, "You should know that the supreme star of the chaos world has descended, right?" Hearing this, the women stared at Zhao Fu in shock and their hearts were in turmoil. Rippling Waters said, The supreme star that you use to awaken your primal chaos world? So you are the lord of the chaos world? Zhao Fu chuckled. Yes, half of my bloodline is that of a chaos world. I am indeed a chaos world lord. Mei Ling Shui said in shock. How is this possible? Zhao Fu said, this is impossible for you, but for me, I can do it. However, there are some limitations. I can't use the power of two worlds at the same time. I also can't descend with the Emperor's Star. Rippling Waters asked, was it because of you that the Chaos World did not attack the Heaven Awakened world? Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, I don't know about that. Erbai asked, what's your attitude towards us? Do you just want to use us? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm not using you. Also, I like you. I can promise that. Also, I won't do anything bad to you. Mei Ling Shui thought about it and apologized. I'm sorry. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, it's fine. After all, we haven't known each other for long, so I can understand. Zhao Fu looked at the celestial spirit dragon snake and asked, it looks like you don't want to attack us. What do you want? The celestial spirit dragon snake lightly laughed as she said, attack you? I don't have the guts to do that. You came here for the 9-ring celestial grass, right? Zhao Fu nodded. The celestial spirit dragon snake smiled as she said, how about we make a deal? Zhao Fu asked, what deal? The celestial spirit dragon snake smiled as she said, I need your bloodline essence. In exchange, I'll give you the 9-ring celestial grass. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, sure. The celestial spirit dragon snake revealed a smile and could not help but feel excited. After all, this was a rare treasure. The celestial spirit dragon snake's body started twisting, and its huge snake body started transforming into a woman with a perfect face and an enchanting figure. She had a pair of snake eyes. The celestial spirit dragon snake smiled as she said, I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Dragon Snake Feather. Zhao Fu nodded. Dragon Snake Feather smiled as she said, let's begin then. Zhao Fu smiled as he walked over. The women did not say anything as they watched this scene. Erbai felt somewhat jealous because of the passion flower demon seed. A few hours later, Erbai could not help but ask, are you still not done? Dragon Snake Feather smiled charmingly as she said, wait a bit more. Why don't you all come as well? Erbai's face turned red as he looked at the women beside him. In the end, the women also walked over, as standing there was a form of torture for them. One day later, Dragon Snake Feather fell to the ground as Zhao Fu said, now that our transaction is complete, the 9-ring immortal grass is over there. Dragon Snake Feather's face turned red as she glanced at Zhao Fu. She stretched out a finger and pointed, and a metal door once again appeared. Zhao Fu looked at Mei Ling Shui and the others as he asked, do you want to come with me? Mei Ling Shui said, let's rest for a while. Zhao Fu walked over and slowly opened the door. The space inside was not very big, only 10 or so square meters. There was a square piece of soil in the middle that was 2 meters long and wide. It contained a type of celestial power, and the aura it gave off was completely different from the sky world. This should be the celestial world's celestial soil. There were more than 10 1-meter-tall plants growing on it. They looked like sugar cane and had 9 emerald green leaves. Each leaf had a silver ring, and the branches were also green like jade. They gave off a celestial aura. This was the 9-ring immortal grass. Zhao Fu thought about it and planned to put the celestial soil and celestial grass into a storage ring. However, he found that he could not store the celestial soil with his storage ring. At that moment, Mei Ling Shui and the others recovered some strength and walked into the room. They looked at the 9-ring immortal grass and looked pleasantly surprised. There's so much. Shui Ling Shui happily smiled and said, I thought there would only be one. Now, we don't need to split it. Everyone could take one. Yu Baiwa smiled and nodded. Dragon Snake Feather also walked in and looked at Zhao Fu as he said, the mortal world storage ring can't store this celestial soil. This is for you. Dragon Snake Feather threw over a black ring. Zhao Fu caught it and saw that it was a storage ring made of celestial world materials. He smiled and said, thanks. Dragon Snake Feather lightly laughed and said, there's no need. I got a great deal out of this transaction. You don't owe me anything. Zhao Fu and the others said, take these 9-ring immortal grass, and I'll put the celestial soil away. Mei Ling Shui and Mei Ling Shui each took a 9-ring immortal grass. Chapter 3275. Book 1. Chapter 219. Zhao Fu asked, you only want one? Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, just one is enough. Keep the rest. They should be useful to you. Hearing this, Zhao Fu waved his hand, and a black radiance enveloped the celestial ground before disappearing. Zhao Fu said with a smile, now that you have obtained the 9-ring immortal grass, do you still want to go there? Mei Ling Shui looked at everyone. What do you want? Rippling Ripples said, I'll listen to you. The others did not speak. Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, we came here for the 9-ring immortal grass. Since we have obtained it, let's go back. There is no need to continue venturing deeper. The few of them nodded. Zhao Fu looked at Dragon Serpent and said, what are your plans? Dragon Serpent said with a smile, I want to continue staying here. Now that I have obtained your essence, I will be able to return to the immortal world soon. Let's meet there in the future. Rippling Ripples could not help but ask curiously, what is the immortal world like? The few women were very curious. Almighties like them were working hard to become immortals and head to the immortal world. This was their lifelong pursuit. Dragon Serpent said with a smile, actually, it is not much different from the mortal world. It is just that the nomological power will be of a higher level. Hearing this, everyone was slightly disappointed. Dragon Serpent said with a smile, with your ability, I believe that we will meet in the immortal world soon. Zhao Fu said with a smile, it is just the immortal world. With my ability, I can go there anytime. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Zhao Fu could obtain the abilities of the first evil immortal and master all of them. One of them was to transform into a void worm and dig a passage to the immortal world. Dragon Serpent said with a smile, I underestimated you. In the future, you can come to the celestial spirit dragon serpent race. Airby asked, with his talent, what level is he in the immortal world? Dragon Serpent said with a smile, a world-shaking genius. Very few people in the immortal world can compare to him. Airby said in shock, this guy's talent is that high. Dragon Serpent said with a smile, and he is the most talented person I have ever seen. Otherwise, I would not need his bloodline essence. Mei Ling Shui said with a smile, all right, let's go. Everyone nodded. After Mei Ling Shui and the others left, the dragon snake feather turned back into a half-dragon and half-snake. She lay there and closed her eyes, absorbing what Zhao Fu had given her. On the way back, Rippling Waters looked at Zhao Fu and asked, is what husband said true? Can I go to the immortal world at any time? Zhao Fu smiled and said, why would I lie to you? Rippling Water asked, how will you head to the immortal world? Zhao Fu explained, I obtained an ability in the chaos world that can dig a passageway to the immortal world. However, it's too dangerous to go there now, and there's no need for it, so I haven't dug it yet. Rippling Waters blushed. I want to go to the immortal world with you in the future. Zhao Fu smiled and said, it might be difficult because I still have a lot of things to deal with. Oh, Rippling Ripples felt disappointed. Mei Ling Shuang looked at Zhao Fu and asked, are you going to continue searching for the omniscient water world after leaving the relic? Zhao Fu nodded and said, yes. Mei Ling Shui said, we'll help you find it. Zhao Fu smiled and said, no need, I can do it alone. It'll be inconvenient to bring all of you along. Ibai snorted, you don't like us? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I don't mean that. Now that you've obtained the 9 rings of mortal grass and the omniscient water seal, it's a good time to cultivate. If there's anything, I'll find you for help. Mei Ling Shui smiled and said, okay. Zhao Fu said, also, don't reveal my identity at all. Yubai Hua said, we're not stupid. How could we reveal such a big thing? However, you have to be careful. Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, I got it. The group left the relic. Mei Ling Shui and the other two left first, leaving Ibai alone. Zhao Fu said with a smile. I can help you suppress the passion flower demon seed's effect a little, but you can't attack me. Ibai rolled his eyes at Zhao Fu. Don't talk nonsense. Zhao Fu smiled and hugged Ibai. A wave of power was injected into Ibai's body. Ibai thought about separating from Zhao Fu, and he did not feel so bad. Wife. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded. Zhao Fu turned his head and saw that Imeng had arrived. Ibai frowned slightly. Imeng smiled happily and said, Wife, I got a bottle of potion that can remove all effects. You don't have to stay by this bastard side anymore. Ibai looked at Yi Xiong with a complicated expression. Now that the effect was removed, she would not return to Imeng's side. She was different from before. She did not like Imeng as much as before. She wanted to stay by Zhao Fu's side more. Imeng looked at Ibai and asked, What's wrong? Ibai sighed. Imeng, I'm sorry. I can't be your woman anymore. Don't look for me anymore. Imeng asked in astonishment why. Ibai explained, I don't like you anymore. Imeng held a bottle of potion and said, I know what affected you. My potion can remove all effects. Wife, you should know how loving we used to be. Ibai looked at Imeng. That's in the past. I'm not affected now. I really don't like you anymore. Imeng said angrily, I don't believe it. Ibai said, It's true. Imeng said with a ferocious face, I don't care. Drink this potion now. Otherwise, I will feed you. Ibai understood that Imeng wanted to attack her. If she did not agree, Imeng might kill her. He felt a little sad in his heart. You should leave. I don't want to attack you. Imeng scolded angrily. You bitch. I know you have a change of heart. Now I will chop you two into pieces and feed you to the dogs. Boom. Imeng exuded a powerful aura and rushed toward Ibai. Ibai did not say anything. He faced Imeng head-on and fought fiercely. A strong gust of wind blew, changing the sky and earth. Bang! Imeng was sent flying with a blow. He spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Ibai with an ugly expression. This time was different from the last time. Imeng could not bear to attack Ibai last time. This time, he could not defeat Ibai. Why did Ibai's strength increase so much? Ibai looked at Imeng and said, You are not my opponent. I advise you to leave this place. Imeng snorted coldly. He now understood the current situation. He turned around and flew to the side, disappearing quickly. Zhao Fu smiled slightly. Ibai glared at Zhao Fu angrily. It's all your fault, you bastard. Zhao Fu stepped forward and hugged Ibai. He comforted him. Okay, it's all my fault. I will take responsibility for dealing with you. Ibai snuggled in Zhao Fu's arms. He was no longer angry. Chapter 3276. Book 1. Book 2. Chapter 2. 20. Zhao Fu left this region and continued to gather information about the 8-direction water world. On that day, Zhao Fu finally found out that a city lord had collected an 8-direction water world. This news had been accidentally spread by the city lord's son, and the city lord immediately took out an 8-direction water world, but it turned out to be fake. No one could be sure if the city lord had an 8-direction water world, so Zhao Fu decided to take a look. Zhao Fu came to the city. This city was called Spirit Water City. Because this region had a natural spirit gathering terrain, the water here had a type of spirit qi, causing many spirit grasses and spirit medicines to grow here, making cultivation much easier. Spirit Water City's faction was quite large, and it was said that there was a higher being presiding over it. Zhao Fu came to a restaurant. The city lord's son was not a bad person, but he liked to drink. The news about the 8-direction water world had been accidentally spread by him when he was drunk. If Zhao Fu wanted to know if Spirit Water City really had an 8-direction water world, he could start with him. Seeing Zhao Fu walk in, an attendant came over and smiled as he said, Guest, this way please. Zhao Fu nodded. The attendant asked, Guest, which floor do you want? Zhao Fu replied, The top floor. The attendant smiled as he reminded, Guest, our restaurant's top floor has been booked by the young city lord and is not open to outsiders. I hope you can understand. Zhao Fu prepared himself and smiled as he said, I heard that as long as you bring out rare and precious wine, you could go to the top floor. The attendant lightly laughed as he said, "There is indeed such a rule. Come with me." Following this, Zhao Fu followed the attendant to a room on the top floor. The attendant knocked on the door and said, "Young city lord, a guest has brought fine wine. Come in." A pleasant male voice sounded out from within. The attendant pushed open the door, and inside sat an elegant-looking young man dressed in white. His jet-black eyes looked at Zhao Fu as he said, "What fine wine did you bring?" His name was Spirit Deerling. Zhao Fu confidently smiled as he said, "Fine wine that you've never tasted before." The Spirit Deer token smiled in anticipation. "Please take a seat." Zhao Fu sat at the table. The waiter withdrew and closed the door. Zhao Fu pulled out a glass bottle filled with pure golden wine. This was the wine that the god of wine had concocted in the past. Spirit Deerling couldn't help but pick up the glass bottle and pour a cup. He took a light sniff and exclaimed, "This wine is indeed a rare good wine in the world." Immediately, the Spirit Deer token began to taste the wine in the cup. A few minutes later, the Spirit Deer finished tasting it and revealed a look of enjoyment. He smiled at Zhao Fu and said, "Brother, what kind of wine is this?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I don't remember." The Spirit Deer token continued to ask, "Where did you get it from?" Zhao Fu said, "Someone helped me refine it." The Spirit Deer token continued to ask, "Who can refine such a fine wine?" Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "It's a god of wine. If you want to refine it, I can give you the recipe." The Spirit Deer token looked at Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "Then what do you want? As long as I have it, I'll definitely exchange it with you." Zhao Fu smiled and asked, "I just want to ask one thing. Is there an omniscient water world in Spirit Water City?" The Spirit Deer token smiled and said, "So it's about that. I told you it's fake and accidentally caused a misunderstanding. I was even taught a lesson by my father." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "How can you be sure it's fake?" The Spirit Deer token thought for a moment and said with a smile, "It doesn't matter if I tell you. My father has been studying the omniscient water world all these years and wanted to create it himself. In the end, I misunderstood. Didn't my father say that it's a fake omniscient water world?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu still did not believe it because it was very suspicious. The Spirit Deer token looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Now that I've told you, you can give me the recipe." Zhao Fu said, "If I'm sure what you said is true, I can give you the recipe." The Spirit Deer token asked, "How can you be sure?" Zhao Fu looked at the Spirit Deer token, causing the Spirit Deer token to have a bad feeling. However, its consciousness immediately fell into darkness. A guard ran into a study in panic and said to an elegant middle-aged man, "City Lord, it's not good. The young City Lord has been captured." This middle-aged man was the City Lord of Spirit Water City, and his name was Ling Dongwu. Ling Dongwu frowned and said, "Hasn't the young City Lord been staying in Spirit Water City? How could he be captured by someone else?" The guard said, "We're not sure either. That person silently took our young master away." Ling Dongwu said in a deep voice, "Did that person say anything?" The guard said, "That person left a message for the City Lord to exchange for the young City Lord with the omniscient water world." Ling Dongwu sighed. "Indeed, the news of the omniscient water world has caused trouble." The guard asked, "City Lord, what should we do next?" Ling Dongwu said, "Keep this news a secret for now. You can leave." Hearing this, the guard retreated. 2 hours later, Ling Dongwu came to the agreed place. He was the only one there and said, "Come out. I did not tell the old City Lord about this." Zhao Fu's body appeared from a void. He had just sensed that there was indeed no supreme expert here. Ling Dongwu looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Where's my son?" Zhao Fu asked, "Give me the omniscient water world." Ling Dongwu said, I do not have the omniscient water world. I have already explained that the Spirit Water City does not have the omniscient water world. The news is fake." Zhao Fu looked at Ling Dongwu and said, "Then how can I believe you?" Ling Dongwu said, "I can prove it however you want me to. Even if you kill my son, I do not have the omniscient water world." Zhao Fu looked at him and frowned. From the looks of it, the dragon did not seem to be lying. He said, can I go to the city lord's mansion and take a look? Ling Dongwu thought for a moment. Sure, but you cannot harm my son. Zhao Fu said, as long as you are not lying to me, I will not harm him. Ling Dongwu nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu followed Ling Dongwu to the city lord's mansion. It was better to be careful. This time, Zhao Fu had only sent a clone and not his main body. Ling Dongwu looked at Zhao Fu and asked, all right, how do you want to confirm it now? Zhao Fu said, I will have to trouble City Lord to temporarily remove the various restrictions and array formations in the City Lord's mansion. Hearing this, Ling Dongwu called the guard and deactivated the various restrictions and array formations. Zhao Fu slowly closed his eyes. Boom! A loud explosion sounded out as a huge wave of water power exploded out from Zhao Fu's body. It spread out like a blue light barrier and enveloped the entire City Lord's mansion. A terrifying aura spread out. Chapter 3277. Book 1. Chapter 221. When Ling Dongwu felt this supreme water power, he revealed a look of shock. This was the power of the water world in all directions. The person in front of him possessed the water world in all directions. Zhao Fu used the power of the water world to envelop the city lord's mansion and carefully inspected every part of it. If the water world had truly appeared here before, it would definitely leave behind a trace of its aura. Right now, the city lord's mansion did not have any restrictions or formations. If there was a water world in all directions, it would have been activated by Zhao Fu's power. Living room, study room, secret room. Zhao Fu did not sense anything. Zhao Fu did not believe him and carefully sensed again, but there was still nothing. Could it be that the Spirit Water City really did not have the water world in all directions? Was the news fake? In the end, Zhao Fu sensed it again, but still did not find anything. Zhao Fu retracted his power. Ling Dongwu stepped forward and asked, You have the water world in all directions? Zhao Fu nodded. Ling Dongwu could not help but say, Can you take out the real water world for me to see? I have studied the water world for many years, but I have never seen it with my own eyes. Zhao Fu said, That won't do. Right now, Zhao Fu was only a clone. Not only could he not take out the water world, even if he did, he was worried that it would be snatched away. Zhao Fu would not be so stupid as to take it out here. Ling Dongwu was a little disappointed, but then asked in anticipation, Then can you give me a portion of the water world's power to study? Zhao Fu thought for a moment and said, Sure. Zhao Fu extended a hand, and blue energy continuously condensed, finally forming a small blue crystal, which he handed over to Ling Dongwu. Ling Dongwu excitedly and carefully received it, as if he had obtained a precious treasure. Zhao Fu looked at him, and, after carefully searching a few times, he was sure that the Spirit Water City did not have the water world in all directions. This was fake news, and he could not help but feel disappointed. Ling Dongwu smiled and said, Thank you. This scene was a little strange. Zhao Fu had kidnapped Ling Dongwu's son, and now Ling Dongwu was thanking Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu said, No, I will release your son later. You don't have to worry. Ling Dongwu said with a smile, I don't think you're a bad person, and you're not worried about my son's safety. Do you want to stay in our Spirit Water City for a few more days? I'll entertain you. Zhao Fu said, No need. After saying that, Zhao Fu's body turned into a blue ripple and disappeared. The spirit deerling slowly opened his eyes and found himself in a forest with a cloaked man standing in front of him. Thinking of what had happened before he lost consciousness, the spirit deerling was shocked and was about to attack Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu said, You're not a match for me. Also, I've already checked. Spirit Water City doesn't have an omnidirectional water world. Hearing this, the spirit deerling heaved a sigh of relief. What did you do when I was unconscious? Zhao Fu said, Go to the city lord's mansion and confirm it. The spirit deerling hurriedly said, We didn't do anything, right? Zhao Fu replied, And I just checked it. I also gave your father a portion of the omnidirectional water world's power. Your father should be happily studying it right now. The spirit Dear Ling heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and handed a piece of paper to Ling Dongwu and said, "This is the formula. I'll give it to you at the end of the month." The spirit Dear Ling reached out his hand and was about to take it. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past, blowing away the cloak that Zhao Fu was wearing. The spirit Dear Ling looked at Zhao Fu in a daze. He had never seen someone with such a perfect appearance. His heart was beating rapidly, and his cheeks were slightly hot. Zhao Fu asked, "What's wrong?" The spirit Dear Ling reacted and took the formula. "Can I get to know you?" Zhao Fu said. "No." The spirit Dear Ling felt a little uncomfortable and hurriedly asked, "Why?" Zhao Fu looked at the spirit Dear Ling and said, "Did I do such a thing to you just now? You don't mind?" The spirit Dear Ling said with a smile, "And I don't mind." Zhao Fu nodded and did not mind as he said, "I'll be going now." The spirit Dear Ling asked, "What's your name?" Zhao Fu said, "I can't tell you." The spirit Dear Ling asked again, "Can we meet again in the future?" Zhao Fu replied simply, "No." The spirit Dear Ling looked at Zhao Fu and said sincerely, "I still want to meet you." Zhao Fu noticed that there was something wrong with the spirit Dear Ling and frowned. "What do you mean?" The spirit Dear Ling's face turned red. Zhao Fu said with a look of disdain, "I'm only interested in women." The spirit Dear Ling was disappointed, but he could understand and said, "I just want to be friends with you. Is that okay?" Zhao Fu said no. After saying that, Zhao Fu immediately left. He could not stand a man who was interested in him. Seeing Zhao Fu disappear, the spirit Dear Medallion looked quite sad and picked up the recipe. After a while, the spirit Dear Ling returned to the city lord's mansion. Everything was as Zhao Fu had said. Nothing had happened, and his father was engrossed in his research. The spirit Dear Ling took the recipe and prepared to brew wine. Zhao Fu left this area and continued to search for information about the 8-direction water world. This time, it was a waste of effort. If he encountered such news in the future, he would have to carefully judge it. 2 days later, Zhao Fu came to another city. This city was called Demon Grass City because there were many water demon grass growing around it. They looked like water plants and had ghostly faces on their leaves. They looked quite terrifying, especially when there were a large number of them. Zhao Fu looked at demon grass and saw that there were many of them. The city lord of this city was said to be the 17th most beautiful woman in the water domain. Zhao Fu did not come for her. He just wanted to ask around to see if there was any information about the 8-direction water world. After coming to a shop that specialized in selling information, a yellow-clothed old woman received Zhao Fu and smiled as she said, "What information do you want to know?" Zhao Fu directly said, "I want to know all the information about the 8-direction water world in this area." The yellow-clothed old woman chuckled as she said, "Very few people ask about information about the 8-direction water world in this area. There is information about it that has disappeared in this area, but it has been more than 300 years. Do you want to know?" Zhao Fu nodded. The yellow-clothed old woman smiled as she said, "This information costs 6 million gold coins." Zhao Fu did not hesitate and threw a ring to the yellow-clothed old woman. To Zhao Fu, money was of no value at all. "Keep the change." The old woman caught the ring and saw that there were at least 7 to 8 million gold coins inside. She smiled as she said, "Thank you, customer. I'll tell you the information now. 300 years ago, our previous city lord obtained an 8-direction water world, but it was quickly stolen. There are some suspicious points about this. Some people say that the 8-direction water world is still in the hands of the old city lord, while others say that it was stolen. Afterwards, there is no more information about it, and we are unable to determine whether it is true or false." Zhao Fu thought for a moment before saying, "Tell me about the old city lord." The old woman smiled as she nodded. Chapter 3278. After hearing the elderly woman's words, Zhao Fu started to think about it. The old city lord was an extraordinary woman and had been quite famous back then. However, after the omniscient water world had been stolen, she had passed the position of city lord to the current city lord before disappearing. This was very strange and possible. Zhao Fu thought about whether to continue the investigation. He did not want to waste his energy like last time. In the end, Zhao Fu decided to simply inquire about some information. After leaving the shop, Zhao Fu walked on the street, thinking about how to investigate this matter. Suddenly, he saw on the bulletin board that the city lord's mansion was recruiting some servants. He immediately had an idea. Many people came to apply for the job, about 100 or so. This was the city lord's mansion, where the treatment and salary were very high, but the city lord's mansion only needed 2 people. Everyone waited in front of the courtyard. At this time, a graceful woman in a cyan dress walked out from the side with a few maids. She was the housekeeper of the city lord's mansion, and her name was Shui Lan. She glanced at the crowd and said with a hint of arrogance, "You should understand that not everyone can enter the city lord's mansion. Now, introduce yourselves to me one by one. 5 by 5, come up together." Hearing this, the 5 people walked forward excitedly and nervously and began to introduce themselves. "My name is Yumu. I've been a servant for 3 years and have a certain amount of experience. I'm usually kind and don't get into conflicts with others. My name is Shuezwa. My aptitude is not bad, and I have the potential to grow. I can serve the city lord in the city lord's mansion. My name is Shirguhua. I'm more beautiful than the others. I also work hard here, so please give me a chance. My name is He. I have no parents and just want to stay in the city lord's mansion to make a living. Please take me in, housekeeper. I'll definitely try my best to repay you. My name is Liu Ro. I've been working in other cities for more than 10 years. Everyone says that I'm good. This time, I heard that the city lord's mansion is recruiting people, so I specially came to apply." Mulan glanced at the 5 people and said lightly, "Next batch." The 5 people's faces were a little ugly. Looking at Mulan's expression, it seemed that they had not passed. Shirguhua was unwilling to give up. "Housekeeper, have we been eliminated?" Mulan gave a simple nod. This caused the hearts of the 5 people to sink to the bottom. They retreated with dejected and disappointed expressions. The other 5 people walked up and began to introduce themselves. However, Shui Lan still didn't take a liking to any of these people, and everyone couldn't help but think, this housekeeper's requirements are too high. After that, a few more batches passed by, but none of them succeeded. At this time, Zhao Fu walked forward and was about to speak. Shui Lan frowned and said coldly, "Why are you wearing a cloak when you're applying for a job? Take off your cloak immediately or leave this place." Hearing this, Zhao Fu could only take off the cloak. The crowd was in an uproar. Zhao Fu immediately became the focus of everyone's attention. No one had expected such a perfect face to be hidden under the cloak. Zhao Fu said, "My name is Moi." Shui Lan recovered from her daze and said, "Wait, you don't need to say anything. You can stay in our city lord's mansion." Hearing this, everyone was envious. Zhao Fu smiled and bowed. "Thank you, butler." Shui Lan gave a trace of smile. Following this, the next batch of people came up and started to introduce themselves. Mulan had no choice, and the next batch came up. In the end, Shui Lan chose a simple and honest-looking young man called Yunnan. The others could only die and leave. Shui Lan said to a female attendant beside her, taking her to learn about the city lord's mansion and tell him about its rules. The female attendant nodded and smiled as she said to Yunnan, "Come with me." Shui Lan looked at Zhao Fu and said, "As for you coming with me?" Zhao Fu replied, "Yes." Shui Lan led Zhao Fu to the side and came to a room. Zhao Fu asked in confusion, "Butler, why did you bring me here?" Shui Lan smiled and said, "You know that I'm the city lord's mansion's butler. I recruited you today. You should repay me." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Of course, I'll definitely repay you." Shui Lan gave a flirtatious look and said, "Come then." Only then did Zhao Fu understand Shui Lan's meaning. He pretended not to understand and asked, "What?" Shui Lan lightly harumphed, "If you make me happy, I'll let you stay in the city lord's mansion or kick you out. Do you still not understand?" Zhao Fu looked quite troubled. Shui Lan threatened, "Hurry up." In the end, under Shui Lan's threat, Zhao Fu pitifully walked toward Shui Lan. 2 hours later, Shui Lan looked quite satisfied as she nestled in Zhao Fu's embrace and smiled as she said, "You're so amazing. I'll definitely give you many benefits in the future." Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile as he said, "Thank you, butler." Shui Lan rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, "In the future, call me butler in front of others, but you can call me wife in private. Understood?" Zhao Fu nodded and smiled as he said, Wife." Zhao Fu wanted to get some information from Shui Lan and asked, "Wife, how long have you been in the city lord's mansion?" Shui Lan smiled as she said, "More than 20 years." Zhao Fu continued to ask, "Then do you know anything about the old city lord?" Shui Lan looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Why are you suddenly asking about these things?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I want to know more about the city lord's mansion." Shui Lan thought about it and said, "All right, but I don't know much about it. After all, it's been such a long time." Zhao Fu replied, Do you know that the omniscient water world has been stolen?" Shui Lan said, "I do." Zhao Fu asked with certainty, "Is this news true?" Shui Lan said, "Of course it's true." Zhao Fu asked with certainty, "Is the omniscient water world in the city lord's mansion?" Shui Lan replied, "It's been stolen." "Do you really think it's not in the city lord's mansion?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu sighed. This seemed to be another piece of fake news. Shui Lan looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "What is it?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's nothing. I'll be going now." Shui Lan smiled and nodded. "I'll rest for a while." Zhao Fu put on his clothes and planned to leave. He continued to search for the omniscient water world and did not want to waste his energy here. Not long after walking out of the room, a woman in white with a mature figure and a sword at her waist looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Zhao Fu looked at this woman. He did not know who she was, but he could sense that she was very powerful. Zhao Fu did not want to cause trouble, so he said, "I'm a servant who just applied for a job." The woman was the city lord's mansion's guard captain and was called Shui Zian. Looking at Zhao Fu's appearance, she asked curiously, "You're just a servant?" Zhao Fu nodded. "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.